everybody, and welcome to episode 51 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike, and who's with me tonight?
Stefan J. Hind D.
Solid Stuart Hughes.
And Foxhound member Red Fox.
At work, actually.
Oh, wow. I did not expect you to have something ready, Stu.
I didn't. I just said solid and hoped that I would come up with something ready. And the thing I came up with was my name. So
it's okay. That's the most important thing, is your name.
yeah.
I'm
tired.
I'm tired too.
Had a long...
Oh, and for those that are wondering why this episode's a little bit late, well, we will get to that in 1 second. But yeah. But first, Stu, you want to introduce what? Actually, Stu, why don't you tell us why we're late today? What happened?
Yeah. Let's just explain this right away, since I fucked up so badly. And I was like, hey, our internet is trash. Our internet has been trash for a long time. I have to reset our router like 6 or 7 times a day. Let's, over this Christmas holiday break, let's fix our internet. We'll get it better for the house. We'll get it better for everybody, so that way no one's getting kicked off. Thought that would be a simple solution. Turns out it was not. Went to Verizon, changed our plan. Or sorry, I probably shouldn't say the company. Let's just say it rhymes with Horizon, and it's total shit. Went to Verizon, was like, hey, we're changing our plan. They're like, cool. Let's do that real quick. Do you still want to rent a router? And we're like, no, we've been renting a router for like 10 years and we've never updated it. And we've been paying close to like $1,000 for this fucking router at this point. We're just going to go buy our own. The guy was like, no problem. You go buy your own router. Little did I know that I would soon hate this man more than any other human being on the planet. So we went to Best Buy. We bought a router. We got back home. We plugged it in. Didn't work. Called customer service. And they were like, oh, yeah, that's a DOCSIS router. And we're like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what that means. And they're like, yeah, DOCSIS doesn't work with our FiOS system. So you're going to have to go get a different router. And we're like, okay, is there anything you can tell us about what kind of router we need? And they're like, no, just get a different router that doesn't have DOCSIS and you should be fine. So we go to Best Buy, we return the first router, we buy a second router, come back home, plug it in, doesn't work, call customer support. And they're like, oh yeah, you plugged it into the Ethernet and you need to plug it into the coaxial connection. So just look where the coaxial connection is on the back of the router. It doesn't have one. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to need a router with a coaxial connection. I'm like, can we just use a splitter? I shit you not. The lady on the phone, by the end of this call, we had 6 different people on this phone call trying to figure out the mechanics of if a adapter from a coaxial to Ethernet would work. They all gave me, after talking to all 6 of these people, they were like, yeah, we don't know. You can try. So we go back to Best Buy. We pick up an Ethernet adapter, come back to the house. Doesn't work. So we got to go back to Best Buy a 4th time, return the second router, return the adapter, buy a 3rd router that has a coaxial connection, come back to the house, plug it in, doesn't work.
Wow.
We're on 5 Best Buy trips and 3 routers at this point. 3rd router doesn't work. Call customer support. They're like, oh, yeah, that will work if you do this like splitter thing. So we changed the splitter out. We got a new one. And the router works, but our TV went out. We called back and we're like, hey, our router and our internet's working fine, but we don't have television anymore. And they were like, cool. Yeah, if you use that router, you won't have TV anymore. And we're like, why didn't you tell us that on the phone? And they were like, oh, you didn't ask. And we're like, motherfuckers, what the fuck? I hate you all so much. So we take the goddamn router back to Best Buy. I've gone to Best Buy at this point 5 or 6 times. We've returned 3 routers. Returned the splitter. We were like, okay, we'll wait until we'll go. I'll just go back to Verizon. I will buy our initial router back so that we have something, and then I will work on getting a better router over time. We go back to Verizon, and the guy's like, he's like, oh, hey, you were here this morning. And I was like, yeah. He's like, you couldn't get another router? And I was like, no, I couldn't get another router. I'll just take back the one I gave to you. I'll just keep paying for that one. And they were like, oh, well, we can't do that. I was like, you can't give back that. Well, I'll just buy another router from you. I'll just get a better router. They're like, oh, yeah, no, we can't do anything with you right now because your account is pending. And so we can't do anything for the next 2 days. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, we can't change anything about your account for the next 2 days. So I can't sell you a router right now. Like, but you're a business and I have money. So can I not give you the money? And I was like, can I just give you money and you give me the router? And they're like, no. I was like, there's no situation in which I can give you money and you will give me a product that you sell within your store. They're like, no, that's just impossible. It's like, okay. He's like,
at this point, did you reach over and choke somebody?
No, the point where I almost reached over and this guy had this. Okay. I usually don't judge how people look. This guy had a dreadlock mohawk and he was very white. And it
What
looked
the hell
like
is that?
it was like a hipster dreadlock mohawk, sides of his head shaved. The dreadlocks were pulled back in like a man bun, so it was like the culmination of every annoying douchebag haircut into one haircut. So I'm like clearly stressed at this point because I've gone all over the city to find this one working router. The guy says, "Oh, why didn't you just update your router?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, every year you get a free upgrade to your router." And I was like, "I didn't know that. If I knew that, then why wouldn't I have asked for that this morning? Why didn't you tell me that when I told you specifically the reason we were getting rid of the router was that it was old and outdated?" He was like, "Oh, you didn't ask." And I was like, "Motherfucker, if you tell me that I didn't ask one more time, Jesus Christ." Twice now, people from Verizon have said, "Oh, you didn't ask." Like it's my fucking job to know everything about their setup.
Should have definitely used CQC on that guy for sure.
I was like, when can I come back and get this situation fixed? He was like, it'll be pending for like 2 or 3 days. And I was like, awesome. The podcast is tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I go back to Best Buy again. I buy a Wi-Fi adapter for my computer because I've got my desktop PC. It's plugged in the wall. So I buy an adapter for it so that I can use it on the hotspot on my phone. Simple solution. I'm like, I don't know if it'll work, but it's something we can test it. Fucking yesterday, we go to record the episode and I'm plugging it in and it's like, I plug it in, doesn't work. I can't figure it out. Finally, I'm on my phone on the support site and it's like, oh yeah, you have to download the driver for the Wi-Fi adapter from the website. Can anybody see any problems with that situation? You have to have internet you have to use the Wi-Fi adapter that gets you internet. You have to go on the internet on the website and download the driver onto your fucking device. and then you can plug the adapter in and install the driver so that way you can cancel whatever fucking other internet you've been using to download that driver. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, fine. We're at this point we were on the like, you can't just call Verizon customer support. That apparently is against the rules. They have an unlisted number that you can call and they say, all circuits are busy for the foreseeable future. Please hang up and do not call back. And it's like, okay, I guess that just means go fuck yourself. So we're on the damn chat service chatting with either a robot that doesn't understand English or somebody from another country that doesn't understand English. Either way, we were trying to speak to them and they were not getting it. So finally they're like, would you like us to send a technician? We're like, thank God, yes, send a technician out.
That's just you, Mike.
Okay, send a technician. We'll get this situation resolved. The technician comes today, this morning, and is like, oh yeah, the box on the outside of your house is completely outdated. You need to replace all that. We're like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, what you have inside technically would work, but your box on the outside of your house is outdated. Also, it would technically work, but if you continue using this router, your TV won't work anymore. And we're like, well, that's a problem we had before. So what can we do to have working internet again? And he was like, oh, I'll just install a router for you. And we're like, okay, how much is that going to cost? And he was like, they didn't update. He's like, this guy is my fucking savior. I love this dude. He was like, listen, they haven't upgraded the box on the outside of your house for like 5 years and they were supposed to. So I'm just going to give you this router for free. Like, thank you, man. Thank you so much. So we got after 6 or 7 trips to Best Buy. I also went to Walmart and Target and like a number of individual like PC repair shops just trying to find a router that would work. None of them had anything. After all this, after going to Verizon twice, after the guy pissing me off to the point of no end, finally this guy was like, I'm just going to give you a free router, man. I was like, thank you so much. I got my internet back about 2 hours ago.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know companies could just say, well, you didn't ask us technically.
Yeah.
So
What the fuck? Well, it's a cable company, so there's not really a whole lot of I'm in kind of a lucky area in that we have the choice between Fios or a very, very bad Cox connection where we're at. So we at least have the option to be like, oh, we're going to switch to Cox. And they're going to be like, no, you won't. And we're like, yeah, you're right. Just spit in my face and I'll continue paying you all the money in the world.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
And that went a lot longer than I expected, by the way.
Well, it was a long fucking weekend. Apologies to the audience. It's very stressful.
I feel like I've been attacked by Verizon now.
And the whole weekend I was like, I was like, oh man, I just need the fucking internet back so I can play this goddamn game. So I couldn't. For those who don't know, if you have Creative Cloud, it doesn't work if you don't have internet connection. If you have like Illustrator or Photoshop, if you don't have internet connection, Adobe's just like, you're stealing our software, so we're canceling everything. So I couldn't work on anything. I couldn't get anything done this weekend. It was really frustrating.
Now that we're caught up with all that, you want to introduce what lovely game you picked out for us to talk
I'm
about
sweating.
this week?
I'm sweating after talking about this. That's how frustrating it was. It's like actually fucking dabbing my head off here. So the game that we were meant to play and that we finally got around to doing is Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake.
Yeah.
For MSX. That came out in 1990.
I thought this was going to be such a fun game to play. A nice little short game, and I'd have a relaxing week.
Except none of us played this on an MSX because none of us have an MSX. Because nobody has an MSX, I don't think.
I don't know if there's. I'm sure there is a working MSX somewhere in the world, but for the life of me, I don't know where.
Well, it never came here for one thing, so it never came to America.
Yeah. So somewhere in the world. That's right. We talked about that with Snatcher. How MSX has just never made it across the seas.
You can buy one online for $250. Buy it now on eBay, by the way. Anyone interested?
Oh, really? I might buy it. It's a whole month of MSX games for me to justify that purchase. For those, have we ever described what the MSX is? Because it's a stupid, weird console that is stupid and weird.
It's a computer.
It's a computer. It's just the keyboard. It's simultaneously one of those like really old world tech things and very new and modern. Like in terms of a console, it's a very smart way to do it, but it's also just so odd looking.
As a controller, it looks like the NES controllers. You have the two buttons, the A, B button, start, select. You have a keyboard that plugs into a TV or a monitor.
Yeah. Imagine it's a keyboard that has like the Nintendo 64 cartridge slots on it. Yeah. It's a very strange. I always wanted one as a kid, but they never came.
All right.
I understand it took us like 20 minutes to even get into the fucking game.
10, but there'll be stuff cut it out. So
we still haven't gotten into it.
Yeah.
No. All right. I'll start. So I was really I was really surprised when you picked this, because originally we were going to play 1, which I did post on Facebook and tell everybody, and then went, no. Forget I said that.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But like, I'm a huge Metal Gear fan because of Red Phoxx over here. He's the one that got me into Metal Gear Solid many years ago, and I've always been meaning to play Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. We didn't have access to it until it came out on, I want to say the first version is when it comes out on Subsistence in the early 2000s on the Metal Gear Solid 3 when they re-released it. And that was the first chance.
Metal Gear Solid 2, yeah.
No, it was on the Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence collection.
Oh, Subsistence. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bonus material.
Substance was the
Substance was 2, which had the lovely VR missions that me and you were never able to finish.
I love trying to explain the Metal Gear naming system to people, because this is Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, which came out before Metal Gear Solid Snake. like Metal Gear Solid came out after this game.
And this is not the same Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge or NES, which is not part of the series, which is not made by Kojima.
Trying to explain, part of the, supposedly, from what I understand, part of the reason that this game existed was because of that other game.
Where, he didn't like Snake's Revenge.
Yeah,
Snake's Revenge, I never played it, but it's a completely different game.
Well, yeah, because the story goes is that he was on a train to Tokyo or something, and then one of his coworkers walked up to him and they said, they made a sequel to Metal Gear. And he's like, what? Really? And then he was like, all right, well, I'm going to make my own damn sequel since they didn't even include me, which sounds very Konami.
Yeah, and then the coworker was like wasn't the coworker that he ran into the head developer of Snake's Revenge or something?
Yeah, he was a part of it.
Yeah, he was like, they made a game, and also I'm the one who made it.
It's weird too, because I've beaten the first Metal Gear, the MSX one. So going back to this, it was like someone had to rush me to the Zanzibar ER because I got shot up with some nostalgia drugs on this one.
It's funny to think of like imagine making like a remake to E.T. and then running into Steven Spielberg and being like, hey, did you see that E.T. remake? You should make another one of those. Also, I'm the one who made that. It's a very strange story, but it's a very Kojima story.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, and the the port that I was talking about when it first came to America was in 2005, by the way.
Yeah, which is kind of late.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know, like, this game is part of the main canon storyline, which is this is the game right before what a lot of people's introduction to Snake was with Metal Gear Solid in 1998. I want to say it is.
This I think it wasn't this game. It might have been this game actually. We do a Drama Island and Overboard every year, and we do like a trivia section, and one of the questions was like, how many times has Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake been released? And I was like 13, and they were like 12, and I was like, nope, I did the research for this episode. It was ridiculous. I don't know if it was this game or another game, but I was like, I know exactly how many releases of this game have been made because I literally just wrote up how many releases there were. I think that was back when we were doing Metal Gear Solid Snake, because if we were briefly, this changed between a number of Metal Gear games, to be honest.
Not that you told us, by the way.
No.
Okay.
Well, I was like, let's do Solid Snake. And then I was like, oh no, let's do Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. And Mike was like, Metal Gear Solid Snake? I was like, no, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake.
I got so excited. I love Metal Gear 2 Sons of Liberty.
I know. You were so excited that I thought about just saying, okay, sure, let's just do that one.
I'm okay with this.
You could have, if you had pushed it any further, I would have been like, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, but I've always wanted to play this game.
Yeah, that's why I figured it'd be a good one, because it's one of the more, or the lesser played Metal Gears.
All right, I'm gonna give a quick background to the first game and where this game starts out. So this game takes place after Metal Gear 1, which they make a Metal Gear, has nuclear weapons. Snake goes in with a team of people on the radio because, it's a stealth mission. He kills Big Boss. Isn't Big Boss in the first game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's something we're gonna have to talk about later about that.
Okay, well, he goes in, blows up Metal Gear.
There's a Big Boss.
He thinks he kills Big Boss, and then 3 years later, this game takes place, set in 1999, and Snake is in retirement.
He's always coming out of retirement.
Yeah,
let's just clear that up.
Same thing for Solid, yeah.
Oh, this game. Like, I know where Solid came from after playing this game. There are so many elements in this game that were taken and put in Solid straight up. Like,
it's kind of like the life cycle of like those early Metal Gear games. It was just Kojima remaking them into a new game and kind of like building off of that. So if you play like Metal Gear 2, even what did we play? Ghost Babel. Like you can feel, if you play all those games, you feel what will eventually become Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, as you can tell that Kojima was like, I want to perfect this one idea, and Konami was like, fuck you, make pachinko.
And also, for those that aren't familiar, this is a top-down isometric game where you're sneaking around. You have items, kind of like a regular Metal Gear game, if you're familiar with those. But again, the guards see you, goes in alert mode, they chase after you. But I mean, I was surprised how much fun this game was.
Well, speaking of the guns, did anyone else start laughing when they saw that the guns were size of Tonka trucks?
Oh my god, yeah.
They're way bigger than the player.
The guns are 3 times the size of Snake.
That's only when he sees them. When he shoots them, it's fine. He holds them in his hand, they look fine. I don't care.
Well, I like when you you get a missile later in the game, and the missile what I saw was like, it looked like you just like throw the missile out of your hand.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Like you hurl it like a fucking football and it just takes off.
1990, cut it a break.
It's supposed to be like a javelin missile launcher, which are fucking huge. Like a javelin missile launcher is like the size of me. He's just like hurling it like a fucking Nerf ball.
I was gonna say like one of those foam Nerf balls.
Yeah, it's got the whistlers on the side, so it sounds cool.
And the story of why he came out of retirement is because in Zanzibar land, which is the dumbest name ever, a scientist was kidnapped, and he's sitting there to rescue them and destroy the new Metal Gear D.
Yes,
is what is like the basic story of this game. Like there's a lot to this game. I was surprised. Like when we first started playing it, I did not like it. I'm like, fuck this shit. They're seeing me all the damn time. I'm not having fun. It's not that cool. And then when I started getting into the flow of it, I really I changed my opinion on it a lot.
Because in the first game, I think all the enemies can only see at a 45-degree angle. Or no, they can only see in front of them. And then in this game, they can see at a 45-degree angle, and they can also swivel their heads.
Yes.
Which looks cool when the little sprite moves its head. Even though there's no face, but there's a helmet, so you can, or a hat, you can tell where he's moving his face. But I did like that.
We did like Link to the Past last week, and now this. It's like We just happen to have 2 weeks of games that are 2D sprites, but just built very, very well.
Yeah, no
Surprisingly
faces.
well. Like, I always worry, like when we did Ghost Babel, I was like, oh god, we're gonna have to go back to like a very early Metal Gear game. It's gonna play like shit. Even when we did Snatcher, I was like, oh, this is gonna play awful. But they age so well.
Mhm.
Snatcher's like having a book read to you where you press buttons.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There's definitely issues, but
Yeah,
But
for
for the
some
most-
reason in this game, Snake runs slower than he did in the first game, so
Yeah.
that made it harder for some
well, there's
reason.
all that Japanese sand he's gotta wade through.
Oh yeah,
He runs like he's got shit in his pants.
What the fuck is that sand called?
I didn't read.
Japanese.
Zanzibar land. So this is a very fucking Metal Gear thing. Zanzibar land ships in the sand around it from Japan, and it's a special kind of sand that squeaks when you walk on it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other game in the world would just say, "You make sound walking through the sand." Noriko singing sand. That's what it is.
Is that a real thing?
I think so.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
I'm trying to look it up. I'm pretty sure it is because it's got like a high. I think it's got like a high like silicon or silica presence in it, so it squeaks when you. I think I want to say. I hope I'm not just talking on my ass, but I'm.
That wouldn't be the
sure.
first time on the show.
Noriko singing sand. Maybe no. It's a singing sand. It, also called whistling sand or barking sand, is sand that produces sound. The sound emission may be caused by wind passing over dunes or by walking on the sand. So it has to. So they actually had to specialize it because apparently the sand grains have to be round. They have to be between 0.1 and 0.5 millimeters in diameter. They have to contain silica, and it needs to be at a certain humidity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of
If
details.
all those conditions are met, then it emits a frequency close to 450 hertz.
Wow, I almost kind of want to go somewhere where they have this just to go walk in it.
You're
Call
actually
Japan.
fairly close to a location that has it, Stefan. There's some in the Mojave.
Oh, I'm going.
Just start wandering around the Mojave. I'm sure nothing bad will
Yeah.
happen. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
just wander around like you're playing New Vegas. And
I get bit by a snake. Like, why did I do this? Why
Yeah.
was this a good idea?
At some point, you're like, I think I can hear it, but you're just going insane. You're just dehydrated. You got snake venom coursing through
All
your veins.
right.
Start
what
singing a Rob
version-
Zombie video.
What version did all of us play this on? I played the PS2 Subsistence version.
Same.
I
know.
watched the MSX version.
And how about you, Ray?
I played the MSX version on PSP.
Okay. You got it to run?
Yeah, I got it to run.
Oh, I didn't.
I
make you
got
do
it to run on my phone, but then it was like, I didn't have any kind of keys. I'm like, fuck this shit. And I just played it on Subsistence.
Well, I just mapped the buttons or the keys to different buttons, and it worked out pretty well. At first, it's kind of annoying, but then again, Metal Gear Solid control or Metal Gear controls in general are never the best. So
Oh yeah.
They work.
Apparently, crouching on the MSX was space plus N.
yeah,
Or
so I had to press X
you
plus
sneak.
O in order to crouch every time. At first, there's a lot of times I kept shooting the damn gun, but when I got used to it, got better at it. So
Okay, that's cool though. I just pressed X because I was playing the PS2 version, so I just pressed X and he crouched, I think square shot or something. I don't remember. I shot
almost tried.
everybody in this
Oh,
game.
really? Oh, I sneaked
yeah, I
by.
shot a lot of people too. Most Metal Gear games, I try to go around and sneak and not really kill anybody at all. Especially 3 when you got to go through the sorrow and all that kind of thing. But this one, I didn't give a goddamn and shot everybody.
Yeah, I always try to sneak. Now that I played this one, which again, apologies to everybody. I had to watch somebody else play the MSX. Thank God for playthroughs on YouTube with no commentary, because fucking
Yeah.
hell.
The
I
comments
I almost tried to get like a keyboard attachment for my phone so I could play it on my phone mic, and I was just like, this is gonna be so much fucking trouble for one game. It's gonna be like, it's gonna play terribly, and my phone's old too. I was like, this is gonna be such a bad setup. I might as well just watch someone play it.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I like how too. I was so excited to play this one, and I'm the only one who didn't get a chance to play it.
Which is too bad. I mean, at least you got to see. I mean, seeing this game is an okay way to experience it, because there is a lot of there's a lot of story in this game. I don't know how well we're going to be able to express it.
Fun fact
because-
about the story: this game takes place on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Yes.
Wasn't too long ago.
Yes.
Very fitting time for us to play it.
Yeah.
Which
Played the week
Yeah.
before.
this was This was part of Mike was like, hey, what game was this supposed to be initially? Because we had to, didn't we cancel a game?
One.
We canceled one, yeah. We're like, hey, what games have like
is? I don't know.
Like what games have a Christmas theme? And so I was trying to look up games that have like Christmas themes within them. And I was like, well, I don't want to say what we're doing next week, but that's got like a significant Christmas theme, at least for us. I was like, I don't want to do.
Did you at some point consider Blue Stinger?
I came very close to saying let's just play Blue Stinger or Raw Danger or any of those games. I was like, no, we should save those. You should really save those because those are just fantastic. Oh yeah, sorry, not next week. The week after next week. I don't know the schedule.
Yeah.
He had no internet. He's lost all. He wasn't able to reload.
Yeah, I've just been a babe in the woods. Just lost, wandering around the house, occasionally picking things up and putting them down again. But I was looking it up and I saw somebody was like Metal Gear 2 technically takes place on Christmas. And I was like, oh shit, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Just randomly saw that on some website that was like christmasvideogames.com or some bullshit. Don't look that up. I don't think that was the site. But
okay, and also like just the whole him entering the base and the whole. I mean, I was impressed by the way that this game kind of plays. Like in the beginning, I was very confused walking around. You punch guards really easy, which is nice. You have to crawl through a fence. I remember that, and it was something about that was really started to take hold. Like you get a suppressor pretty early in this game. And then it doesn't matter who you shoot, when you shoot, how you shoot, just gun down every single person you see. Game don't care. There's no alert mode. There's no just kill everyone.
The suppressor doesn't wear down like in the later titles as well. So
there's no guards to be alerted if there's no guards left to be alerted.
Well, there's a couple areas where I get alert and be like, dude, I just shoot the guy in the face and shoot, alert gone because there's only him. I'm like, that works.
Yeah,
that's
the weird mechanic from this one to the first one is that in the first one, if you just walked over to the next screen, the alarm would stop.
Yeah,
it does not work in this game most of the time.
No, in fact, one of the enemies in this game, Black Color / Black Ninja.
I was waiting for that.
You gotta talk about Black Color.
He looked like a TMT foot soldier.
Yeah. Yeah. So Black Ninja is just like he's wearing black, kind of, and he's a ninja, kind of. He's not a black ninja. That'd be weird. But it's not outside the realm of what Kojima would do. He's
so if anyone
like a G.I. Joe rip.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know, Black Color was the original name, and then they reappropriated it for today's age to Black Ninja.
Thankfully, most names for the enemies they actually changed up later on. So
I think Black Ninja sounds worse than Black Color.
Yeah,
like way worse.
I didn't even think anything about this Black Ninja. I'm like, okay, he's a ninja and he has a black costume. That's where my brain went.
Like the part of Black Color that makes it an inappropriate name is the word black, not the word color. And then to go Black Ninja, like to make it an N word and to make it ninja, which is sometimes used in
we
like,
saw where you're going.
Yeah. Like it seems like they were like, let's make this better in the worst possible way.
Yeah, Konami didn't care at all for the Phoxx population though. They were like, no, we can still call him Gray Fox.
This game is very popular with the posh population of England.
I like that fight with the Black Ninja. Like I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, it was a weird like foot soldier. I swear, foot soldiers. All I could think of as I was fighting them.
He's not a foot soldier, Mike. He's an experimental drug-enhanced ninja from a disbanded NASA project.
Oh God!
Because Metal Gear.
That's the problem.
He's a drug-enhanced ninja mercenary who was previously a astronaut.
I didn't mind it though, and then he turns out that he's a character from the first game, which meant nothing to me because I never played the first game yet.
Yeah, he was Kyle Schneider.
Yeah, I never made it anywhere in the first game for it to matter.
But I brought him up because part of like his whole role in the game was that he would run off the screen when you were fighting him and still be like you'd still be in the fight, and that was kind of to show people that was a thing that could happen in this game.
We'll talk about that more later.
You talking about the Hind D?
No, I'm talking
talking about a guy that can run fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll have to go over all the. I think this is like one of the most Metal Gear cast lineup of baddies, aside from like Snake Eater, which has like the most Metal Gear.
I was pointing to
my notes for the bosses. It says all the bosses are dumb shits with hot gimmicks equals hot shit.
Ah, shit.
That's pretty much every Metal Gear game, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
every boss is like that.
Up
They're
until
they're part of some squad or some team that have some specialty, and they get owned anyway. So I mean, in some stupid name.
None
they're
of these
the best
people
in
have a
their field
specialty.
for the dumbest reason.
They were all something that doesn't go directly into mercenary, like an astronaut.
Yeah. Technically, NASA is part of the military, I think, right?
Yeah.
NASA's part of the Air Force, I want to say.
How about
Space Force,
an Olympic runner or whatever?
An
she was?
Olympic runner, yeah. Well, that was just so they
NASA
could have a Schwarzenegger reference.
I thought NASA's all part of the Space Force now. You know,
I don't actually know.
Space
That's
Force.
it's coming soon. They're going to start that Spartan program.
The Space
To be
Force.
led by Buzz Lightyear.
I hadn't considered that, Mike. I don't know if that will conflict because we have the Air Force, but every branch of the military also has their own individual Air Force, pretty much. So you have the Air Force, and then like the Navy's Air Force, which is better than the Air Force, but whatever.
Okay. But also, like,
Shout out
when
to
you
the Air Force.
I'm going to take over here. After you kill the Black Ninja, which is, again, a recurring theme throughout this entire game, he blows up like he's robotic for some reason. Because
he's drug
animated.
What soldiers?
He explodes into drugs.
GMMT cartoon.
Okay, it wasn't just me, right? Like, he did look like it, right? It wasn't just me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he had a very Shredder thing going on.
Shredder?
Not Shredder, like the
Foot
foot
soldier.
soldier. Yeah, Shredder's
Oh,
foot soldier.
wound me. I mean, I know you weren't on that episode.
You sounded so hurt there.
Hey,
And I'm the turtle
most
fan
hurt
here.
I've
I
ever heard Mike. Shredder.
the gasp.
it wasn't acting either.
It sounded like you had like a little tear rolling down your cheek.
I do have tears right now because I'm laughing so hard. But
I'm just gonna start sending you all the images of. Have you seen like all the pictures of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costumes today that people start posting?
Yeah, I have.
Where they're all like, if anyone hasn't seen these, just go like look up like TMNT costumes today. They're all like decomposing and like the rubber that they used to make them is falling apart. It's
like from the movies.
horrifying.
Yeah.
The Donatello one looks from the second movie, I think it is, looks like a zombie turtle.
Oh yeah,
pretty much.
they could use them to make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie today without changing them, and it would
They should
be
just do it.
accurate. They should do that. Like Serenity reused all the assets from Star Trek. Just Five Nights at Freddy's reusing TMNT props.
Oh, and first, I do have a question for you guys. How much did you enjoy when we had to follow the Green Beret soldier around? Wasn't that
my
fun?
God.
It wasn't hard. I mean, what was your guys' issue with it? It wasn't hard.
Well, mine glitched out, I think, because I followed him all the way around once, and then I went to the next screen and he was gone.
But you know what's interesting too is that this guy was the only different sprite that they had, other than bosses and main characters. But when it comes to enemies, he was the only different soldier sprite that they had.
Everyone
didn't get a
red
name.
hat. It's the Black Ninja tells you that you have the guy with the Green Beret is guarding one of the scientists. I want to say Dr.
Right.
Marv.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you go into a room, you'll see a guy with a Green Beret. Normally I kill him every time I see him after this, but he'll follow you. He'll walk you through a swamp, but every time he walks down a line of trees, he'll turn around like almost every single damn time.
Oh, man,
The
that's
most paranoid guard in all of Metal Gear.
Yeah.
So fucking annoying.
I like how they replaced this in Metal Gear Solid with, instead of following the Green Beret, you have to follow Meryl and stare at her ass.
bad.
It's like, yeah, that's better than finding the one dude with, like, he's a Green Beret soldier. Is he a Green Beret, or is he just a soldier that for some reason is wearing a Green Beret?
I think he's just somebody wearing a Green Beret.
Because his name is literally the Green, I think his name is literally like the man in the Green Beret, but not the Green Beret, all caps.
Very
Question Metal Gear
innovative,
1990.
I love I remember having the whole Lost Woods section, because I have played this game before
Lost
a long time.
That's accurate.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, I
Lost
guess
Woods.
it is. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the same,
They are called
same
Lost
track,
Woods.
right?
Yeah,
In
it's the Lost
Hyrule,
Woods.
yes.
It's the Lost Woods in the Kokiri Forest. Because I played this game a long time ago as a younger child, as a child, not as a younger child.
As a child.
As a child, and I remember just being pissed off at that section because it's just so stupid. It's just you have to go through the Lost Woods and like you'll just be it's an invisible maze essentially. It's so fucking annoying. That like the whole marsh area is just like go to hell game.
I thought that was less annoying than the actual the marsh area where you gotta follow that invisible line. I don't know.
Yeah, you just have to know it's pure trial and error. But I remember as a kid being super annoyed that I had to follow a dude around and look for him and try to find that fucking beret. Even though it's easier to see now, but I imagine playing this on a very, very old MSX where 480p was like god tier in those days. Just being like the tiniest green sprite you gotta find on the screen.
This is when I let you guys know too. I was like, oh, I'm halfway through the game because I was following a walkthrough. And I got to the green marsh and the walkthrough just ended.
What the fuck?
I was like, I'm almost done. No, I'm not.
No,
that's what you're not.
How short did you think that game was? That was super.
That explains why I was so confident because I was like, oh, Stefan's already almost finished with it. That's great.
I was pissed off on Christmas.
In my brain, I was like, if Stefan can beat this game in 2 hours, then I can beat the game in 2 hours because we play so similarly. Right. So I was like, I'll have no problem with this. I'll wait until that fucking walkthrough. We're going to find the guy who wrote that because that caused me to download the game late and not be able to play it.
There's not a lot of walkthroughs for this game either. That's another thing I got to say. I use walkthroughs for everything because I'm me. And it took me a while to find. I found a Let's Play walkthrough where the guy, not a video of it, where he typed down what he did with screenshots.
Yeah, a lot of the walkthroughs of this game that I have found over the years, I've looked at over the years, it's pretty much just like, it's not really a walkthrough so much as they'll just give you images and it's like, this is vaguely what you, like if you're playing the game, you should be aware of what this means. Like there's always the one of the marsh that I've seen a number of times where it's like it shows you like the line you need to follow, but it doesn't have a walkthrough for it. It's just like a picture of the marsh and a line, and you're expected to know what that means.
That was one of the worst parts of this entire game.
I followed a couple video walkthroughs, and there's a couple guys that were pretty informative. There was some information that I wouldn't have known otherwise unless they said it during the game. But at the same time, their voices got so irritating that I just went to IGN, and they had a straightforward one, no voices, no nothing.
But it's bad videos. Like the IGN ones, the guy will get alerted all the time and be getting chased. And I'm like, I don't have time for this.
I found that more actually in the other guys I was watching. Really? And they would get alerted all the time. IGN was a little bit rare.
I usually have pretty good luck with IGN reviews. Every now and then I'll come, or not reviews, with sorry, I hate IGN reviews. I have pretty good luck with IGN walkthroughs.
Walkthroughs, yes, more so than reviews for sure.
There are definitely times where like, more so than, let's say, GameFAQs. Let's throw out GameFAQs. More so than GameFAQs, I'll run across IGN walkthroughs that are inaccuraite.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of them.
Like I was, since I didn't have internet, I was basically, I picked up Astral Chain over Christmas, and they gave it to me as a Christmas gift. And I was using the IGN Astral Chain walkthrough, which to be fair, the game just came out. So, I'll give them time to fix it. But it was like, a lot of misinformation about where collectibles were, and I was like, God damn it, I've got to search this whole map now myself. But I didn't have internet, so I had the time, so that's what I did.
His life was broken over this past week, guys.
I basically just played Astral Chain all weekend. I don't have internet. I can't talk to anybody. Fucking everybody online too. Oh God.
I was wondering for that swamp, was there, like, I just downloaded a map, but I was like, am I missing something because I don't talk to people? Because throughout this game, I do want to mention this, there's little kids all over the damn place.
Yeah.
Big Boss has issues, lots and lots of issues.
So if anyone has played Metal Gear 5, they'll know why that those kids are there.
Yes.
I kicked myself. I still have yet to play Metal Gear Solid 5. I love Metal Gear.
You never even tried it?
No. I own it. I own 2 copies of it, I think, but I never played it yet.
I really enjoy 5, but I always tell people going in that, like, playing that game for the first time, you really need to kind of understand that game. Like, play it for you have to limit yourself. Like Metal Gear Solid 5, only play it for like a little bit. Don't sit down and play it for like 4 hours.
Yeah,
you know what really killed me about 5, and I mean, it even started with 3 a little bit. 3 was superior to me, but I felt that the more they went open. 3 was amazing, but the more they went open world, and when they hit 5, I just more and more so lost interest.
It's it's almost the problem. I'd liken it to the same problem I think a lot of people had with Fallout 4, where it's like it becomes too, and like Destiny has this problem really badly too, where it's too open. Like I like open worlds, but I need some degree of for them, unless it's like a very specific game. Like I think Breath of the Wild does it pretty well, but for a lot of games, like Fallout New Vegas is great because it's open world, kind of. It's open world, but it's got a very linear path to take. Fallout 3 does the same thing, where it's open world, but you have a very clear goal, a very clear destination. Metal Gear Solid 5 is almost too open, where it's like, it almost gives you that, what's it called, like choice paralysis.
It's like a sand. It's really is a sandbox, is what it is.
Yeah,
and that's what I was gonna get to. Like I when I think Metal Gear, I don't think of sandbox and just figuring things out that way. I want some linearity. I want the narrative to drive me. And if I'm sitting here in a sandbox, that means there's somewhat of a lack of a narrative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best parts of Metal Gear Solid 5 are when you get into like the giant military base you have to take out in the first area, where it's like there's two entrances, there's two ways to get in, and it's a very clear goal of like take everyone out. There's Metal Gears in here. You gotta like it's a very linear section of that game. And it's like my favorite section of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
it's one of the more linear ones.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like you have 360 degrees of directions to figure out where to go. Figure it out, go.
Right. But basically what Big Boss was doing was he was saving children of war and reappropriating them to fuel another war, because they're not going to ever find a place in the world where they don't belong anywhere in the world anymore. So he's like, well, I'll just throw you in with my soldiers.
He was rescuing child soldiers to make them child soldiers.
Yeah.
As his speech at the end of the game would always, remind you of.
Because it's Metal Gear, and there always has to be, like, everybody's a child soldier. All the main characters, everybody like fucking Miller was a child soldier. Raiden was a child soldier. Fucking Ocelot was literally born on a battlefield in the middle of on like D-Day, right?
Wasn't Big Boss also?
Yeah, I think Big Boss was. I don't know about Snake and Liquid were born and basically like accelerated growth, immediately became soldiers. Like realistically, they were probably chronologically like 10, I think, when they started fighting.
Early babies, and then became whatever.
Yeah, I think they were raised to be soldiers as well.
Yeah, everybody's a child soldier, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think this game though, when I played this game, it showed me that Kojima did, and we kind of covered before, rehash a lot of his own ideas, maybe put a new coat of paint on them, but he did rehash a lot of ideas.
Oh yeah, this is a lot like Metal Gear Solid. Even like Stu said, Miller is in this game.
Yeah, well Proto Miller.
There's the real Miller.
The real Miller.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid, not the real Miller, which I always didn't like understand. Metal Gear Solid, he's like, Miller, I remember you. And I'm like, who the fuck is Miller? I don't remember Miller.
He's played too, buddy.
I love that Miller is kind of a beloved character for some people, even though his main appearance in the series is not him.
Except for 5.
That's true.
Yeah. But
But in 5, he's like, people don't like him in 5. In 5, he is such a bitch. He is the bitchiest asshole to you.
They played us like a goddamn fiddle.
Yeah. At 5 too, you find out like when you really get into like the dregs of what's going on in 5, not saying storytelling wise, just like when you start thinking about what's going on in 5, Miller is making more sense than any other person involved. Like it's like the scene of Huey on the boat where he's like, none of this makes sense. That's not even a wolf, it's a dog or whatever. That's not even talking.
That part.
Like Miller the entire time is like, why are we trusting these people? These people have been trying to kill us. This is a bad idea. Everything is going to go bad. We shouldn't do this. And you're like, shut the fuck up, you fucking nerd. Yeah. And then by the end, you're like, oh yeah, now that I think about it, Miller is pretty much right about everything.
But he was right the whole damn time.
Yeah.
And we should explain canonically that 5 takes place before this. So the reason Miller is on the side he's on is because Revolver Ocelot and Miller knew they were going to be on separate sides of the war. So Miller's on Snake's side, whereas Revolver's on Big Boss's side.
Yeah. It's such a fucking soap opera.
Let's save that for other future episodes.
We have to
You're
lay
going way too far
now because it's
we kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Like we could easily do like a 3-hour episode just on general Metal Gear lore. That's how fucking intricate and insane it all is. And it's just like, it's everybody. I like how many videos too are people like breaking down like Metal Gear characters or like this Metal Gear chronology. And Kojima's probably just like, I like robots. Put a big robot there. Make it look like the other robot because I like the other robot.
It's a good idea, by the way. You gave me an idea, but there's something I do want to mention.
Oh, please don't make me do that, Mike. Please don't make me. Maybe not a second, but the next boss I want to mention, if we had said earlier, for some stupid reason, you fight a Hind D in this game too, because this is just Metal Gear.
Hind D.
Except this is a dumb, like you have to
doing in this game.
So much trouble. I'm just gonna keep talking. So much fucking trouble to get the damn stinger or whatever the hell the missile is in this game.
It is.
Well, I mean, pretty much it's a stinger, right? But it's anti-aircraft. I think they call it in this one.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Missile, which means anti-air.
It wasn't. I mean, because you have because you get to the Hind D and then you have to leave. You can't fight it.
We're gonna do it every time.
It's okay. It happens a couple times in this game where you get to 16 and realize you can't do it. And I did enjoy that fight where he's going between 4 different screens and you just have to, like, you press the stinger and a little menu comes up and you have to pick the screen on the map where the little flying helicopter is, shoot it, and then run. It was and
you have to lead
you got to time it. You got to kind of time your shot.
Though.
You have to lead your shots a little bit. It's cool, but I remember it's also a huge pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass that once you figure it out, it's great. That's always the thing with Metal Gear. Metal Gear is like people are going to get mad at me for saying this. Metal Gear is a bad game that eventually clicks and you're like, you start to understand the weird intricacies of it. And then it becomes a great game. Mm-hmm. It goes from being a broken mess to suddenly you understand why everything is the way it is. It's got that Metal Gear moment.
We all got to understand here. No, that's cool. It's cool. But what I think we got to understand is that right there is an example of the genius of what Kojima had even back then. Like, this guy was coming up with things that no one else really was doing at the time with, like, what NES gameplay, 8-bit graphics. Nobody was thinking about not only the narrative, but that kind of gameplay at that time.
Yeah, like, say what you will about his storytelling. The dude has essentially spent like 30 years trying to perfect this one game style.
Yeah.
Like, trying to build off of it and make it the best possible version of itself.
Correct. And for somebody with that kind of vision, how he never made a movie just yet, I mean, other than the excuse of Konami, I don't know how he hasn't done it yet.
He's tried a number of times.
He's already said he wants to. It's coming.
He needs to.
I could see him, God, he's going to end up working on something with Guillermo del Toro, and it'll be the weirdest shit we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. It'll make no sense. And then 40 years from now, we'll all still be talking about how weird it was. And he'll be like, I think that was actually a good game. we have to mention, we mentioned Miller's in this game. We didn't mention that Campbell's in this game, but he's not called Campbell. He's called Roy Campbell.
Well, in my version you're playing, right?
Campbell now.
The original version, the original localization was really, really not great.
It was like with a K, Y, K.
It was Kyanbel, Campbell. Roy Campbell.
Yeah, you should have watched a more like a retconned video on that one.
Oh no, I was like, I gotta play the original because I remember playing it as a kid and going like, none of these names make sense. Like,
I'm surprised.
Who the fuck is Holly White? There's a character named Holly White, but for some reason the translation of it in the original was Horry White, or Horry.
It depends on who's reading it, because I'm pretty sure people back then thought it was Hoary White.
Yeah, I always thought it was Hoary. I didn't realize it was supposed to be Holly. I thought it was Hoary White.
Is this? When do you rescue Hoary White? Now we're gonna call her. Is that before you fight the Running Man or after? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
It's after.
I want to talk about the Running Man real fast.
Okay. This is my favorite boss in the game, by the way. I just want to say that right off the bat.
The Olympic runner who is now a terrorist mercenary. Imagine if, like, again, this is Kojima's weird writing, which I love because it's basically like the WWE of video games. Is the best way of describing it. It's WWE soap opera levels. Running Man is basically if you turned on the news tomorrow and you saw a picture of Usain Bolt working for ISIS. Like, That is the equivalent. That's the real life equivalent of what Running Man is.
Running Man is. So I do want to kind of this is Hideo Kojima's favorite boss in the Metal Gear series.
Is it really?
Really? Wow.
But I do want to just kind of talk about this fight. So you walk into a room and this guy comes up and says, "Look how fast I am!" And he runs around the 4 screens. Not that fast, by the way, but he runs around all 4 screens, comes back
faster
to
than the
you,
character, right?
and then he's panting at you for some reason. And
he ran the 100-meter dash in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, and then the thing about the fight is it's going to be hard. He doesn't actually hurt you, but he activates a nerve gas in the room. So if you don't kill him fast enough, the nerve gas will kill you.
And it's really stupid because apparently they didn't think of this, or maybe they did, but you don't even have to stay in the room. You can just exit, refill your oxygen, and go back in the room.
Yeah.
So the nerve gas
that's
doesn't even make sense to be there.
I had the gas mask, so I was fine.
Well, that
we
too,
all
but
did,
just
but even then, it still runs out. I mean,
I killed him before it ran out. I get close, but I killed him before it ran out.
I think oh god, I want to say that, let's see, he ran the 100-meter dash in 9.69 seconds, which is currently the second fastest 100-meter dash time, the fastest being Usain Bolt at 9.58, which is he's almost faster than Usain Bolt.
But to beat this guy, you have to put down Claymore mines in the path that he runs, and he'll run over them, blow up.
Which is exactly how we'd all kill Usain Bolt if he worked for ISIS. It's just the most logical way.
I mean, he'd be running in circles, right?
He's just like an asphalt track covered in landmines.
So if he steps on one of those mines, how would that not make him stop?
Oh man, that'd be amazing. You have to lay down. I think you can glitch it if you lay down 2 explosives. It's kind of an exploit, from what I understood.
Well, this is that time of exploits. So,
from what this was back in the day. I mean, people still do this today, but back in the day, part of the reason I say I like older games is because breaking games was kind of the point of older games. Like we play all those Metroids where it was like, oh yeah, if you hit the pause button, you can just totally exploit the wave attack and have it go across the screen 100 times.
Mm-hmm. Or Mega Man.
Or Mega Man, yeah. It's just the point of the game.
That's like kind of how you combat some of the unfair difficulty at times, right?
I have to apologize to Mike because I've restrained myself from doing this for a very long time, but Running Man is such like a Dragon Ball character that I had to bring it up.
Wait till next week.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm prepared.
It's gonna be a nightmare.
Oh, I know.
I apologize in advance.
Hopefully your internet works so we can record on time.
Mike's gonna drive to my house and break my router so that way I'm not making Dragon Ball references next week. But there's a character in Dragon Ball who's the fastest man alive, and in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, that's his whole shtick. He's like, no one's faster than me. And so the entire time I was watching the Running Man fight, that's all I could think of.
What character are you talking about?
Oh god, what is it? He's part of the Ginyu Force.
Oh, okay, I don't care then. I heard enough.
Fuck
the Ginyu Force.
This is the part where I sound upset.
I hate the Ginyu Force, but we'll talk about that.
It wasn't Jace. He was friends with Jace. I think it was Birder. Yeah, it was Birder. He's the big blue guy, and in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, they play him perfectly. Where he's so fast, but he's not faster than me, of course, because I'm the fastest man alive. So like, listen, mate. I think we need to talk. Goku's got a higher power level than you, so doesn't that mean he's faster than you? And Goldo can stop time, so surely he's faster than you. He's like, no, I'm not fucking slower than Goldo.
All right, so when you have to rescue, because Holly is like every femme fatale in the series gets captured, and they take her, they tie her up, they blindfold her, but somehow they don't take her radio, which I was like, and this is not like the codec in Metal Gear Solid where it's in her ear.
It's a fucking radio.
Got a fucking radio, and they're like, yeah, I got a radio right here.
Wait, you didn't talk about Running Man's death scene, which is great.
Oh, okay. Where that's if we went on Dragon Ball Z, and I had to change the subject.
Yeah, Running Man tells Snake what his name is, which is Running Man. His name is Running Man. He's like, I'll tell you my real name. It's Running Man. And he has like that Metal Gear introspective moment where he's like, he calls himself a cheetah. And he's like, how could a cheetah have lost to a snake?
Yeah.
Snake's like, you just weren't fast enough. And then he dies. It's great.
That was the 80s one-liner if I ever heard one.
I can see why this is Kojima's favorite.
Because it's one of my You just run fast enough. Yeah.
Was fast enough.
It's
Good
almost,
luggage.
it's almost like can marathoning bloom on a battlefield?
It's one of those great Kojima lines that's just so like everything in Metal Gear is just like a cliche to the mass, like to the furthest extent that a cliche can go.
Yeah. I
And
don't
love that.
I don't even remember if in the first game too that they had the like when every character dies they give their little story explanation. I don't think that was in the first game. I think it was
Metal
this
Gear
game that
1?
started that.
I can't. I never played Metal Gear 1, so I can't talk.
I'm trying to think because there has to be something because you fight Vulcan Raven, right? He tell you everything about himself, or it's like
That's Metal Gear Solid. Not
that's Metal Gear Solid. Yeah.
He talks a little too much. He's talking about Metal Gear 1.
See, the reason I confuse the story of Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid is because
Same
of
game?
with the same game, but also because of the simple plot of Metal Gear video by Dan Averden and fuck the other guy. Who's the other guy's name? The other guy,
Ego Raptor.
Ego Raptor. Yeah. Which is a great. If anyone wants like a quick breakdown of like a Metal Gear story, that song is hilarious and it's completely accurate.
Just watch Metal Gear Awesome.
Metal Gear. Yeah. Oh my god.
What are you talking about?
Like the hit.
Oh, if you haven't seen Metal Gear Awesome 1 and 2, please go watch it.
Oh my god. Yeah. Just watch all the fucking. Oh my god. Yeah. I'm gonna
Anything awesome. Period. Mega Man Awesome or whatever that was called. But anything along.
Metal Gear Awesome is great, and the Him Daisy Metal Gear comics are fucking hilarious. If you can find those, have been like a lot of those have been taken down, but if you can find the Him Daisy Metal Gear videos where people just narrate the Him Daisy Metal Gear comics, it's so funny.
Is this just like drawn cartoon work that I'm seeing? Is that what those are? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very early, very, very early internet video. I think it was on Newgrounds, right? It was like one of Newgrounds big videos.
Started on Newgrounds, and Ego. If you haven't heard of Ego Raptor, I mean the Game Grumps guys, pretty much.
Yeah.
This is what really one of the things that got him,
I never heard of him.
launched into.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking some early spicy memes here, boys. This is when memes started getting good, when we were like, hey, maybe the troll faces are kind of dumb and we should get away from all that shit. We're like, hey, what if a meme could be about a video game and be hilarious?
I can't be the only person who hated fighting Red Blaster, or should we call him his real name, Spider-Man.
I've got the fucking Metal Gear Awesome.
I don't. You know what? That was the guy that was on the ceiling and throwing shit.
Yeah, it's the boss that crawls back and forth on the ceiling, throwing grenades at you.
He was easy. Okay. He wasn't that
I didn't have a problem with him. I didn't have an issue with that.
My problem was I didn't have grenades when I first found him by accident, and I had to leave and go back down and go get grenades. I was really I couldn't leave. I had to reload my save and go get grenades.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little irritated.
Yeah.
I don't think you can leave.
Well, that seemingly can happen in this game a little bit easier maybe than some of the other ones. If you don't hold on to a lot of your items that you might need, you're gonna get screwed later on. And this is one of those cases.
I didn't find them yet because they're in that area. They're just in a room with a bunch of elevators, and it was just I did not. That part irritated me a lot.
Oh yeah, so we should bring this up. Kojima thought of this early on, and it still goes in Metal Gear Solid games today. You have to switch to the access card for that door, or else it will not open.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! Speaking of like key cards, Jesus Christ! At least you can auto use them in like Doom or something. In this game, you gotta go in the menu and try every single fucking one.
We have
even in the last boss battle. Like Jesus Christ!
We haven't even mentioned. This is the worst. I think this is the worst iteration of the codec, because this is pre-codec. It's a walkie-talkie, but you still have to memorize. Like if you're a kid and you don't have like a pen and paper readily available, and you don't write down the fucking radio transmission signals on there, you're just fucked. You're just fucked.
Yep.
I mean, there's a couple where the guy says something to you in a different language, where you have to flip the screen over in order to read it. To see
because that's how other languages work.
Does this go back to the fact that that's why they had notes at the end of manuals? They could write down codecs.
I mean, there's a bunch of.
Hey, well, I mean, they didn't cut this practice. I mean, even in Metal Gear Solid, you had to look at the back of the fucking case to figure out somebody's codec on that one.
They want you to in this game.
Wasn't that Meryl?
I think it was Meryl's codec. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's so bizarre that I'm not like the biggest Kojima fan on the planet. I don't like I wouldn't say he's like my favorite developer or anything, but you gotta give him credit for like making a video game more than just a video game. Like trying to say like, okay, you've got to do this thing in real life to solve this problem.
Yeah, when we bring this up, it's not really a complaint of mine. It's definitely something different you won't see in any other game I can think of.
Yeah.
So it works.
Like Borderlands 3 is not going to make you go find like a copy of the game and look at the back of the disc and that has a code on it that you need to.
Part of it,
boss.
I think, from what it says, had to do with anti-piracy back then too.
That makes sense. That's actually a really clever way of getting around that. At least back in the day
before the internet was made. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I've always given Kojima credit for letting me smoke in a video game.
That's true, yeah. Especially especially Metal Gear 5 when it does the whole whoa.
The smoking animation in 2 was pretty damn nice, I gotta say, for being 8-bit.
It's a problem. As a smoker, and Stefan's also a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that problem where you see somebody smoking in like a movie or game and you're like, God, I need a cigarette?
Yeah.
So like when we did this, I want to say when we did like Snatcher, and there's another game we played where I was like, I felt like I needed a cigarette the entire time playing it because the character was just chain smoking the entire time.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn it. I'm just constantly thinking about a cigarette because I constantly see one.
It's like that's why I love to watch Scorsese movies, but I can't like watch them all the time because I'll just chain smoke.
Yeah.
Speaking of the smoking mechanic in the game, I don't think they really. I mean, unless you really mess with the radio much, I don't think they really explain that you should be using that to find some of the lasers later on. Like,
yeah.
How are you supposed to know that? Like, if you're going through an area and you're just running and you're getting like it alerted, and it's like, well, what the fuck was that? How did that happen? Nobody saw me.
It's a very Kojima thing to just throw something in there because some of the rations that happens with some of the fucking rations.
Oh God,
which we'll talk about. But
I'm about to actually mention it since you brought the rations.
Actually, yeah, just talk about it.
There's a stupid part. We have to go catch a pigeon on the roof because the pigeon has a note from one of the doctors. I want to say
that was the most Midwest you've ever sounded.
And I didn't know
pigeon on the roof.
I didn't know what to do. And you have to hold one of the rations, that has like seeds, has something red in it, and that's what attracts the pigeons. So you can catch the pigeon to read the note on the roof.
Right. And that's the first time that I could ever think of in any Metal Gear that they actually use rations for more than just healing yourself. I mean, I can't think of another Metal Gear. Did they do that?
No, not Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm.
None of that's
the first and only time, I suppose, right?
It's funny too because in the rations it explains what's in them, so it'll say like chocolate and spaghetti and meatloaf. Yeah. And I'd like to think that when you open the ration, it's just all of that mushed together.
That has to be. Hey, and he complains about it. Like I think at the end of the game, he's oh fuck these rations. I can't wait to eat real food. And
it's like like an MRE where it's just like a rectangular chunk of food.
Yeah. Like space food.
Oh man, has anyone here had MREs?
No.
Yes.
Am I the only one? Okay, you've had some too. I kind of like MREs. Like you got to get real lucky because some of them are disgusting, but some of them are really good.
Yeah, they got a lot of sodium in them. It's basically like eating.
Well, I mean that's how you preserve it for so long. So.
Right. It's like ramen, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like eating a block of ramen, but somebody just put a shitload of flavoring on it, like the Dorito flavoring for different shit.
Yeah.
I like you can get like Skittle MREs. For the child soldier on the go.
For the child soldier. I mean, this game is full of them, so whatever.
Everyone wants that. I think it was the beef stew ration, which I quite enjoy.
Okay.
Everyone should go try MREs. They're interesting.
Another part, since this is where Metal Gear Solid got all its ideas, you have to go to the women's bathroom, which is only one of them in a random place next to the other bathroom.
Well, there's only like one woman that works there, so.
Well, she doesn't even work. She's in disguise.
I think technically, legally you're required to have the same amount of bathrooms, and they're pretty much supposed to be right next to each other. But I'm assuming that Zanzibar land doesn't have a lot of government oversight going on. So
no shit.
They're probably more practical in terms of there is one woman that works here, so we'll put in one bathroom on each side of the island.
The thing that got me, I was thinking about this way too much. Like if you were someone disguised, you're a woman disguised as a guy in a soldier in this base. just use the same restrooms everyone. You just close the stall door. Nobody's gonna look in and be like, hey, I want to see your dick. Oh wait, you don't have one.
That's a pretty good point, actually, Mike. I didn't think about that.
Like, why would you? Because she looks left to the right before she goes in the woman's restroom, and I'm like, is that necessary?
Like one of the guys is just like, what the fuck is up with Jerry? And it's like, I know he's new, but does he know he's going in the wrong bathroom? But I think he's going in there because like it's more private and nobody uses it much, so it's cleaner, and so all the male soldiers start going in its bathroom because they think it's cleaner.
Use a random elevator in the restroom, you know. But
yeah, how fucking weird was that? I thought that was so out of place, man.
Look, if you have a soldier full of only men, then it makes sense that you're going to hide your elevator in the women's bathroom. That's just logical.
I did like it, that the whole point of that. Like, I did like the storyline with Gustava, who is the spy or someone that's in this place that you meet up with, who was, I don't even remember all her storyline, but I did like that. I did like her part. And
she was supposed to be the bodyguard of Dr. Marv, correct?
Like, Google's not reading, not loading fast enough. He's right, yes. She's assigned to protect Dr. Kilo Marv during the Zanzibar land disturbance.
Yeah. I like that this is
bodyguard of him.
There's the Shadow Moses incident. There's like everything else is called like the incident, the conflict. I like that this is the disturbance. It's so like underplayed. The Zanzibar land disturbance.
So,
and then, yes.
Well, correct me if I'm, because I really want to talk about this because Metal Gear is part of what's important about it is the story. And I'm curious. So what Marv was doing was he was creating algae to make it to where oil was redundant, and we had to rely on this algae.
Something like that.
Power.
Here's the thing: is that oil was scarce, so they had to come up with something else to in place of it. So the algae was used, and they called it Oilix, or he called it Oilix, to kind of replace it.
Yeah, it was essentially a replacement for oil that Zanzibar land would have like total control over.
Not initially, because Marv, in the good scientist that he was, I think he was from Russia or whatnot, or Czech or whatnot. So he was going to go to the U.S. Yeah. He was Czech. He was going to go to the U.S. to hold a demonstration in regards to his new invention. That's when he was kidnapped by Zanzibar land, and their ideal was to pretty much control the world's fuel source at that point. Besides having access to old nukes in the form of Metal Gear D, or something that could launch those nukes in the form of Metal Gear D. They stole those old stockpile of nukes from the rest of the world.
And wasn't Marv going to originally defect anyway? So it's kind of like something that happened.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was in America to defect, and then he got kidnapped while he was defecting or something.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to a crisis summit or something where he was gonna throw this out.
There's two doctors. One was
and that's what I was getting at, because I don't know how accurate that would be if you got to have yin and the yang, because Marv, being the doctor that he was, the good guy that was trying to help the world, you got Madnar that's sitting here fucking things up and acting like he's
Drago, the most evil name ever. He's Drago Petrovich Madnar. He sounds like a goddamn Mega Man villain.
He does.
Drago Madnar.
So that was the guy you had to really worry about. I mean, that guy even attacks you, So.
Oh god, that fucking fight was. That. We'll talk about that a little later when we get there.
We'll get to that.
I like one thing I love about Metal Gear. We talked about this when we did Ghost Babel. Just the artwork of it. But I love that every character in the Metal Gear universe, pretty much every single character, in some booklet somewhere, they have a little picture of them in like that sketch kind of watercolor style. That's just like that's kind of like the Metal Gear aesthetic. I love
that's
that shit.
A certain artist's work where he actually does certain other, like, I think, books and other games as well. So
I would love to get I was about to say a selfie. It wouldn't be a selfie. I would love to get a portrait done by that artist. I don't know the name of the artist who does it, but I'm sure it would also be like thousands of dollars, but I'd save up for it.
I've actually tried to replicate his work, and it's just impossible. He is just his own person. He's his own artist.
It's so specific. It's like, it's hard to describe because it's like watercolor done in a sketch. It's very odd.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and
Very cool.
it's odd but beautiful at the same time, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's absolute. Like I think the Metal Gear art like covers throughout history have been throughout video game history. I think those are like some of my favorite, if not my absolute favorite, video game covers.
I'll never forget them. They're very memorable.
That Snake Eater cover is one of the most beautiful covers that a video game has ever had.
I always think of like what Mike brought up earlier. Subsistence. He created the Subsistence cover. I always think about that.
Oh yeah, where he's saluting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Random story, since this might never come up again, or will, but I really want to say it real fast, and then we're going to go on with the games. I want to talk about more about Gustavo. But okay, when I bought Metal Gear Solid Substance 2 for Xbox, I didn't have a case. Because for some reason, I got one of the cheap, terrible cheap, terrible GameStop cases. And I remember for some reason, Red's mom found a case of Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance for PS2, just a case. And I'm like, hey, I need this. And that was the case I still have somewhere. I have no idea why. It was just one of the weirdest, dumbest things that happened.
What a coincidence. I'm surprised you still have it, honestly.
It's in a box somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Also, I was wrong. It wasn't the Snake Eater cover. It was the... Oh, no, here it is. Yeah, the Snake Eater cover for PlayStation 2, not the new one. I was looking it up, and they have, like, the new... there's, like, the better edition one, but it's, like, Snake against the tree. I don't like that one. I like the one of Snake and the boss. Or, sorry, Big Boss and the boss. And it's just like, it's so fucking pretty. Like, perfectly matches that game.
Because I do want to talk about... Like, they gave Gustavo a pretty good little backstory, where she talks about she was a... ice skater, a figure skater, and this whole thing she's talking about a guy that she loved named Frank, which I was like, wait a second, Frank, huh? I know some other guy in this game named Frank too. And it clicked pretty quick because I spent a lot of time in this world with Metal Gear, because she was a lover of Frank Yeager, who is Gray Fox.
Yeah,
right.
And speaking of Gray Fox, since we're on the topic, this is where I get my name from. Red Fox, Gray Fox. Pretty much the scale of Foxhound. I mean, Fox was the highest rank you could have in Foxhound. So
should I tell Sheila not to cross any bridges because you might blow her up? Or is she okay?
Yeah, for sure.
It's
also
it's
grenades
very
out of fucking feet. I don't care.
Gotta keep an eye on your arms there, buddy.
It's very cinematic. Yeah, it's very cinematic how this takes place too. You think it wouldn't pause for this long to do something in an 8-bit game.
Yeah.
But you're in the sewers, and Snake and her, they both just sit down and talk for like a long ass time.
That's because Dr. Marv goes to take a bathroom break. Supposedly.
Takes a shit in the sewer. He cuts the middleman, takes a shit in the sewer. They could have come up with some better way for them to talk, really. I mean,
he's not even shitting. He's calling Gray Fox
also a child soldier.
All right, I suppose I didn't really catch that part, but
because doesn't he set them up? Is what it is.
Yeah, he's the one that tells Gray Fox they're coming. So when you get to that bridge a little bit later, he crosses the bridge first, and then Gray Fox blows up the bridge with Gustavo on it, and then she falls and dies, and dies next to you, and you get that fucking pendant thing.
He kills his own lover,
and then it goes to that game over screen where it's like Gustavo.
Yeah.
Gustavo.
So what I didn't get too is that when it's retconned, because it's Jaeger in the original, but they switch it to Hunter. Obviously, it means the same thing, but in German. But they switch it to Hunter in the retcon. But in Metal Gear Solid, they still call him Jaeger, don't they?
Yes, I think they just called him Hunter to give you the connection between Naomi Hunter and him. I think that was the only reason that happened.
Oh, I suppose.
I think it was just like,
oh yeah.
Well, kind of. They're like she's like his adopted sister or something.
I should have said
just fucking stuck with Jaeger.
Yeah. So he was Jaeger, and she was like, for whatever, because Metal Gear and it's so hard to describe to people who haven't played Metal Gear. It's the best and the worst storytelling ever, like combined. It's simultaneously some of the best, like most genius, like just like philosophy and critique and criticism of like modern society and politics and like warfare and this like global conflict that's going on. And it also has shit like, I'm Frank Jaeger and I've adopted my half sister who like almost drowned in a river, but I don't want to name her Jaeger because then people will know she's my sister. So I'll call her Hunter, which is the American version of Jaeger.
Yeah, it's a love-hate.
Metal Gear.
Yeah. It's There was a great thing on Facebook actually recently. I think it was on Overlay where somebody was like, you have to love Metal Gear because you have like this really biting commentary about like the war in Iraq and like the our reliance on oil. And then you also have characters like he killed the boss, so we'll give him the better title of Big Boss. But yeah, it's simultaneously great and the stupidest shit ever. It's just like the WWE. It's so dumb, but you just can't look away, and you just like end up loving it by the end.
I look away just fine, no problem. I don't like wrestling, but okay. One thing
I don't
do
really
want
love wrestling, but every now and then I'll see something like that one guy who puts the snake on his arm. What the fuck is that guy's name? He puts like the snake. He puts like a sock on his arm that is colored like a snake.
Santino,
yeah, and he would like his arm would in the like canon of wrestling, his arm would become a snake, and he would use that to like bite people. This is like wrestling is the dumbest thing, but you see something like that, and you're like, this is so stupid, but in the best possible way.
I disagree with everything you're saying.
It's not for everybody, and Mike will tell you when we were kids, I was a extremely huge wrestling fan. Still kind of am here and there. And he'll tell you easily.
Still, huh? Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it's still completely.
Well, I really don't watch as much as I used to, as much as I would like to.
So you're telling me there's not wrestling figures in your house?
Oh, I never said there wasn't.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm getting at.
Or anything like that.
I think it's just like wrestling. Metal Gear is one of those things where like it either clicks with you and you love it, or it doesn't and like you hate it. There's no in between. There's nobody. I don't think there's anybody out there that's just like Metal Gear, whatever. It's either like this is one of the best game series of all time, or this is like
or it doesn't hit your radar. You know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's another scene I didn't. There's another scene I want to bring up that I didn't know was. I mean, it's a scene from Metal Gear Solid they copied from this game. There's a part where you go in the elevator and you're going up the elevator, going up, and all of a sudden it stops at one of the floors.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, and then somebody calls me on the radio. I'm like, I know where this is going. We already went through this.
Part of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
I think that's my favorite part. That might be my favorite Metal Gear moment of all time.
It's the four horsemen, as they call them, and if they call them, are Ultrabox.
Or Ultrabox.
Wow. Ultrabox, yeah. They're all Ultrabox.
I mean, it made me laugh. It did really make me laugh that it's four guys that jump on the elevator with you and tell how they're going to murder you, and I just shot them all up. But they'll jump on the side of the elevator, you can't hit them. It amused me. I was like, this is unnecessary, but.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I will say, while we're playing, like any of the bosses, well, especially like midway or later in the game, a lot of the bosses take a lot of fucking hits to kill. Yeah, you know what I mean. And you can't really.
Some bosses take more hits than the literal helicopter.
Yeah, they definitely do. Yes, I thought it was kind of ridiculous. The first time that I really noticed that was in this boss fight. In that elevator. It's like, there's four of them, but still, holy shit, how many bullets do I gotta waste?
It's a lot of hits.
I legitimately just made a joke that I don't think anybody heard where I called them Ultravox instead. It was just a joke, but I'm actually looking at their page on the wiki right now, and apparently they were named after the British band Ultravox.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
The feeling.
In the version I played, they were Ultravox. So
I love the idea that Kojima just is really into like synth pop from England.
He is.
He had a whole year where like all he listened to was new wave. Ultravox is great.
Oh, and then they did another scene shortly after this where Metal Gear Solid apparently mimicked this game. Is you're walking up the stairs at one point and the alert goes off and you have to run up 10 flights of stairs being chased. Yeah. I'm like,
I was going to bring that up.
I don't like this Metal Gear Solid.
A lot of Solid.
I didn't like it in any game.
I like how
many things do they steal from this game though in Solid? Though? Like even the floors opening them up, the trap doors.
Oh yeah, the pitfalls.
Yeah, it's Metal Gear Solid, isn't it?
That's in Metal Gear Solid too. And I was like, oh, they wouldn't put this shit in Metal Gear Solid. And I thought about it for a minute. I was like, hey, wait, they actually did.
Yeah, not much. You expect them not to be there, and that's why they're there.
Yeah, those were in the first game though, so it's just a returning feature.
Okay.
This was pre Kojima's fascination with CQC, right? That didn't really become a huge thing until.
I mean, you can punch people in the face in this game and it takes 3 hits and they go away.
Yeah, but this was before CQC was like held up like
Yeah.
this unbelievably fantastic art, right? This was, I think, Snake Eater. Was Snake Eater the first to do that?
Yes.
Snake Eater was the first, yeah.
I like that Ultravox is essentially a CQC assassination squad. Like their whole thing is that they're experts at fighting in confined spaces and close quarters combat. Just all
It's not that hard to fucking do when you got 4 against 1, I guess.
yeah. Their whole thing is they're excellent at CQC, but when there's 4-on-1, yeah, anybody's excellent at CQC.
No wonder they're so good.
Oh, did anybody else get confused by the glider part where you go up that when you get up the top of that tower, you have to use this glider that you got earlier. And I was reading it and it said, okay, throw down the gas grenade. A little arrow will tell you got to wait till the arrow's pointing to the north. And I'm sitting there throwing, and I'm like, all the arrows are going to the south. And then I looked at the guide and read some more. He said, yeah, they just jump. I'm like, what? Stupid game.
Well,
Just jump.
the way I saw it was you're supposed to use the cigarettes to see which way the smoke was blowing.
Right.
Oh,
So that's the way I did it. And
That's how I
it
did
was
it.
going north, so I jumped off.
This
Mhm.
game takes place over the course of essentially 12 hours, more or less. It's basically just like the night of Christmas Eve, and
Yeah.
Snake goes through like 5 packs of cigarettes,
Well,
just constantly smoking.
I mean, that's realistic, isn't it? I mean, that's what
I feel like
be like,
if-
wait, is it?
Now, this game takes place in like every Metal Gear game pretty much takes place in like the vague 80s. Even if it takes place in like 2024, it's still vaguely the 80s for some reason. So I don't soldiers with smoking, but I imagine if I was guarding a base and suddenly all the guys from the east side of the base stopped like radioing in and I started smelling cigarette smoke everywhere, I'd have some questions. Like I was just walking a hallway and you just see, well, granted, this was pre-90s and everyone knows pre-90s. You couldn't see inside of buildings because of all the cigarette smoke. So maybe it's more accurate.
That's not untrue.
No. If anyone wants, we've mentioned this before, but if anyone wants a hilarious, like, culture shock between pre-90s and post-90s cigarette bans, watch the first season of The X-Files, because it's hard to see some characters. It's legitimately difficult to tell what some characters are doing because they're in the FBI basement and there's so much cigarette smoke that, like, they're actually obscured a little bit. It's very funny.
Okay. I forget about all that, but I mean, I still do vaguely remember the fact that everybody smoked at one time, like ridiculously. But that was a long time ago.
Isn't one of the
It's kind
characters
of
even
fucked
called
up.
the Smoking Man?
Yeah, the
remember
cigarette
correctly.
smoking man is is like the one of the ultimate big bads of the X-Files.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, he's constantly at odds with Mulder. And interesting character. I actually really like the cigarette smoking man. I think is my favorite character in
Well,
X-Files.
speaking of 80s earlier, the next boss is named after an 80s movie, The Predator.
That's true.
The stupid ass guy in the freaking. He's like in a
Predator.
tall grass with a flamethrower, right? Is that what he
He
had?
was Predator in the version I watched. What was he named in the version you played, Mike?
I thought he's called Predator. Is he called Jungle Evil? Is that his name
Jungle
in this one?
Evil,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds like
Stupid.
the foreign title of the movie Predator. Like whenever you see those funny titles, like in for like the Avengers in China, one of the Avengers movies is called something like oh no, there's an android. It sounds like it'd be one of those.
I
Schwarzenegger
80s
in
porno.
Jungle Evil.
wait. Is he throwing grenades at you? I can't even remember what he's trying to hit you with. Anybody-
It's bullets. He's shooting at you
Oh,
all
you
the time.
shoot bullets?
It's-
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Then I thought he had a flamethrower or something.
He had. Oh man, what does he have? I think it's just like a machine gun, isn't it?
Yeah, just like what Rich said. Just he just shoots you.
Yeah. It's not. He's like his main thing is that like he's just hard to see in the jungle. That's like his skill. His skill. Everybody else has a special skill. Like Running Man is like the fastest mercenary alive.
Sure
And-
is.
And fucking Black Ninja is a astronaut, and that's his special skill, is that he's an astronaut ninja that's filled with drugs. Jungle Evil's special skill is that he's in the jungle and he's wearing green.
I mean,
That's his superpower.
I
Well,
just hate that. It didn't bother me.
he's wearing green in a field of yellow green.
Yeah, and he also has like a glowing red gas mask on.
Yeah, he looks like Hunk.
I like he does. He's green Hunk.
The part
And
that-
he is Hunk was more camouflaged in Raccoon City than this guy is camouflaged in.
Yes.
I like how
With
with fucking the end in Snake Eater, like his special power was that he was like he had like insane reflexes and he was like the best sniper alive. This guy's
Sure he
just
was.
like he's kind of good at hiding in the jungle.
Metal
But
Gear.
he's not in the jungle.
Like, the only thing that really pissed me off about this fight is after you beat him, you get a key card, but then you find out later on he had another key card hidden in the room, like to the right of it. That pissed me off. I had to go all the way back for the third time to go get the damn key card from him.
You know, sometimes like if you're out in the field, you're training. You don't want to drop your key card into like a field of wheat. You'll never fucking find it again.
It just irritated me. And then that leads to probably the most annoying part in this game is when you go up after you kill him and you go into a room and you see an egg. And I'm like, okay, so I grab the egg and it starts to hatch and all of a sudden a little snake comes out. I'm like, okay. And the fucking snake eats all your rations if you don't get rid of it fast enough.
Yeah.
I was pissed off. I've been saving them throughout this entire game. I'm collecting them. I'm holding on to them. Like, okay, I got all these rations, and then he ate them all. And I had
I have questions about that.
Yes.
Mainly how? It's a snake.
Know.
It can't chew. Snakes don't have teeth. They just have two fangs at most. How did a snake? Have you ever seen a snake eat anything not by swallowing it whole? Have you ever seen a snake chew?
No.
How did a snake eat your rations? I don't understand that.
This is Metal Gear. This is not room for.
That's true. Yeah, I shouldn't question the realism of animals because we haven't even mentioned the hamsters.
We're getting there, but I mean, not to mention you also have to get an owl right after you get the snake, and you have to use the owl to make a guard go, "Hey, it's nighttime. I know the sun's shining, but I heard an owl. Nighttime. Yeah. Better go open the gate."
Yeah,
which makes no.
It's literally, God. It's literally. I don't know if anybody here has watched Superstore at all.
I have not.
Superstore is great. Everyone should watch it. It's just all about the stress of working in retail as like a sitcom. But one of the characters on a regular basis. One of the characters like running jokes is that in order to trick customers, he like prints out giant images of like aisles and he'll put them in front of aisles so that people think that it's stocked, but it's not. And there's a whole joke in the show where he's like, I know, we'll print out a big picture of the moon and we'll put it on the window so they think it's nighttime and it'll go to bed. And I was like, yeah, but you can still see the sun. And he's like, oh yeah. That's all I could think about with that scene.
Okay. That's not where I expected this to go, but okay.
Yeah. I just really wanted to sneak in a Superstore reference. Everyone should go watch it. It's very good. American Ferrera's in it.
All right. Then you run into another one of the bosses that's also just like one of the issues with this team of the Zanzibar land mercenaries. You fight Night Fright, or as he's called now, Night Sight.
Now he was called Night Sight. Now he's called Night Fright.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it matters because it's like his name was Night Sight, it made total sense to me. I don't know why they changed it to Night Fright.
Well, Fright Night, the 80s horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, they really want. You know what? I'm gonna go with you on that. That makes sense to me. I was gonna make a joke, but I was like, no, that sounds like Kojima.
He's also like the fight. He's in camouflage. You can't see him. So I'm like, okay, this could be interesting. I just saw where the bullets were, and I'm like, oh, I'll just shoot here, and I just kept shooting there until he died.
That's all it was. And you could stick on the same screen the whole time. Like there's 4 screens you can actually fight him on, but you could stick on the same one and still kill them all.
Yeah, he actually ran into the corner in my game, so I just sat there and just spammed bullets until he died. He couldn't leave.
Also, we mentioned a little bit, but this game has lots of different areas where your footsteps make sounds that confuse the guards. Mm-hmm. Or get their attention. The same thing with this area is that he runs in 4 different rooms with all different sounds that will get your attention so you can see where to shoot him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You don't need to, but
his special skill is that he has a submachine gun. That's pretty much it. He has like an invisible suit, but for whatever reason, the invisible suit is not as impressive as his machine gun.
Yeah. If it was a ninja invisible suit, now we're talking.
He just needs to give his suit to the ninja. His gun, by the way, and then I don't want to butcher his name. I think it's the Wei Shin Shou Sheng, which is a fake gun that translates to like silent submachine gun. So it's a submachine gun with a suppressor on it, but not a flash hider, even though that would be way more important.
And I gotta say, and then you come up to like I guess one of the big story chunks to this game where when you find the 2 doctors. I did like that scene. He finds Dr. Marv, one of the doctors, and he's laying on the bed. It's like, oh, he died. And he's looking at the body. He's like, that's weird. This guy has bruises on his neck, like he's been choked. He's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense.
So was this anyone's favorite boss fight, Dr. Madnar?
Oh my! I was pissed because he jumps on your back, he starts choking you, and you'll hear, I think, Snake cough or something.
Yeah.
Or you lose health, and you have to either drive missiles into your back to blow him up, or I just threw grenades and ran into the grenades and
I use mines.
I use mines.
Keep in mind that this is in the actual like canon of Metal Gear. Granted, this came out after this, but this is after it was established in Snake Eater that Snake was all the Snakes, the entire Snake family is like the best CQC team ever.
Right. So you've got this guy, Dr. Madner, who looks like Doc Brown, trying to put him in a sleeper hold.
As old as Doc Brown is today.
Yeah.
Like it's got you like the full Nelson. You're like, shit, I just can't do anything to escape this old man.
It should have been a scene where he just throws him off, like, okay, you're done. Like, just grab him. Like, I thought that was kind of.
He's a scientist. Why didn't he have like a machine to kill you? Why wasn't he piloting the Metal Gear? He's a robotic scientist.
This old guy just humps you until you blow him up. Like,
yeah, you just put a mine down and turn your back towards it, and then it blows him up.
You know what he should have had? He should have had like the Huey Walker from Phantom Pain, like that. What is like mechanical legs, but just have like mechanical arms, like the exoskeleton from Elysium. That's what he needed.
But I did think it was funny where they throw in that line, like, he loves the MSX. Made by Konami, and he has he had him shipped here, and the key is hidden in the MSX cartridge. Like, I'm like, really, guys? He's like, you gotta do that on the nose.
The worst product placement I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
yeah. It's the equivalent of like Amazon's advertising strategy, where they're advertising the MSX despite the fact that you already are playing this on an MSX.
Yeah, don't
Amazon
worry,
is the same.
We're all gonna get ads. MSX now on our Amazon. Like, here, don't you want an MSX? We heard you talking about it on a podcast.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. As long as Amazon does this really annoying thing, and everybody who's ordered a product off Amazon fucking knows this. If you order a single product off Amazon, regardless of what it is, they will do nothing but market that product to you constantly.
Yeah.
And it could be like a very specific thing that you only need one of. Like, we ordered a engine part not too long ago, and it was just like, I think it was like a radiator or something. It was like, would you like to buy more radiators? And it's like, no. I just needed one. Why would I ever need more than one of those? And why I'm like, I bought a fucking microphone for the show. I bought a new microphone. I was like, oh, would you be interested in these other studio mics? It's like, no, I'm not running a fucking business. I just want a microphone for me.
I'm trying.
Some products Amazon needs to be like a little smarter with their advertising on. Like, if you buy candy, it makes sense to advertise more candy, but
right. They should also pay their taxes.
like I said, we bought, they should pay their fucking taxes.
We're not going there.
Taxed
Mainly.
Another story. No, I'll feel comfortable going there. They make fucking like
Billions?
Bezos is worth $110 million or $1 billion. Sorry.
Well, the only reason I don't want to go there because I want to end this episode if I can edit it and get it up tonight.
Jeff Bezos is he was a listener up to this point.
Sure he was.
He has nothing to fucking do. Does he care? In between building goddamn rockets and pissing off other billionaires.
And after you get choked by the doctor because you're a stupid soldier, and whatever, and you get into a locker, and the locker is locked. And earlier, when Gustava dies, she gives you this pendant. So now you have to backtrack all the way to the other building. This is about like a 15-minute trek or so, or not more, to go into a freezer to freeze the key to walk all the way back here. And again, that's another thing Metal Gear Solid took from this game. You have to freeze an item.
Yeah.
You can heat the item too, but it only opens an optional locker that has a little tape for people to salute so they don't, instead of responding to you or something.
Well, I know it's really annoying, like getting into my house every night because I don't have a key. I just have a case that has the shape of a key in it. And so I've got to pour some water in there and freeze it every night. It's just a pain in the ass. It takes me like 20 minutes to get in my house.
If you want to use the restroom, you have to heat it up.
Yeah, you heat the key up. Yeah, the door on that is it's a thermometer that needs to hit a certain point or else it won't unlock.
But then after you heat up, when you do heat up, if you do heat up the key, it has the one nudity in this game. You get to see a guard walk with his hat on and a towel, and you get to see his naked ass walk by.
Yeah,
I punched him in the face. I shot him. I just shot him. I'm like, fuck you, dude, get out of here.
I don't know if it should be expected that Metal Gear would have male nudity before female nudity, because the characters are so it's such that like 80s macho movie thing where all the guys are so in love with each other very clearly. Where it's like you like go watch Predator again, and I shit you not, just really watch it really closely, and
Just that handshake in the beginning, you son of a bitch.
they want to fuck each other so badly. The only thing stopping them from just hardcore fucking is a Predator. That's really the story.
Or the PG-13 or possibly rating of it, man.
Go watch Commando as a film where Matrix snubbed. God, what is the bad guy's name in Commando? Bennett. Go watch it as Arnold Schwarzenegger's Matrix snubbed Bennett, and now he's just like a jilted lover out for revenge. If you watch that movie with that context, it makes way more sense.
They changed his name to Jungle Evil.
Jungle Evil.
Oh shit.
Which one would be Jungle Evil? Would that be Bennett or Schwarzenegger?
That's a good question.
One is Jungle Evil, and the other is like Night Sight or something. Fuck, who played Bennett? It was like a wrestler, wasn't it?
I think you're right. No, you know what Arnold Schwarzenegger's name would be? It would be Austrian Color.
Yeah, Austrian Color
instead of Black Color.
Was not a wrestler. It was Vernon Wells, who was a guy from Mad Max with the red mohawk, and then basically the same character in Weird Science, but he looks like a wrestler. Bennett, what's up, Matrix?
Okay. And as you had mentioned earlier, you had talked about when you opened that locker.
I had used my opportunity to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I was waiting. You fight fucking hamsters, little demonic, toxic hamsters come running at you out of a locker. You have to shoot them, and if you get touched by them, automatic death.
The wild Zanzibar hamster.
I never got hit by one.
No,
I didn't need. Well, I did once because I tried.
Well,
you can
is
coax them out of the room.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
You have to.
This is another one of those. There's three to four different ways. No, 3 different ways you got to use rations in this game. One to lure a pigeon. The second one is to throw chocolate on top of a certain acid.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Lure the rats out.
It's just weird. I mean, there's so many cool things in this game though that you wouldn't have expected.
Those are based on real poisonous hamsters.
They are?
No, I'm just making that up.
Oh, I was like, you never know.
There's no such thing as a venomous hamster.
I mean, if Kojima's talking about singing sand from Japan, I mean, you never know, right?
I think there's only like 3 or 4 venomous mammals on the planet. I could be wrong about that too, but I don't know. I know platypuses are venomous.
Yep. There's also my ex-girlfriend.
Jesus.
So Stefan's ex-girlfriend, platypuses, platypi. I think there's like a sloth or something that's venomous.
Maybe.
But I mean, good luck. If you're the guy, listen, if you're the type of person that gets killed by a sloth, I think maybe that you deserve to have that happen to you. If you get killed by a sloth, there's no 2 ways around it. It's one of those things where it's like, it's sad that he died, but it sounds like it was extremely preventable.
It's like it's like getting choked out by the doctor.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
that joke in IT Crowd where they're like, their parents died in a fire at a sea parks. There's so much water.
Okay, and then after you get the MSX cartridge, you fall down a hole, I want to say, because Gray Fox sets you up. Mm-hmm. And then that's when you fight the Metal Gear D, which I like this fight a lot better than the Metal Gear in Ghost Babel. A lot better.
I do want to mention that whoever did the bit mapping and sprite work for this Metal Gear, they deserve a medal. It's a really cool looking Metal Gear.
Yes,
you could tell they put a lot of time and effort into that one, and they knew. I mean, this was the name of the game. They had to make this something special.
Mm-hmm.
They did. It's kind of like another ongoing thing with Metal Gears. Everyone has their favorite Metal Gear.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people who they don't love Metal Gear 2. They would not put it in their favorite. I know people that wouldn't put this in their top 5s, but they would put Metal Gear D in like their top 3.
Yeah, it's a good Metal Gear. It looks amazing.
It's a good. Who's a good Metal Gear?
You are.
Who has a nuclear warhead?
But it's a cool fight. It wasn't hard or anything, and I liked it. And then after you blow up Metal Gear, I thought that part was stupid where Gray Fox lights all your items, lights you on fire. So you have to drop every item in your inventory you've been collecting the whole game because they're all on fire somehow.
Yes. Everyone knows when you catch on fire, The first thing to burn is everything in your pockets.
So, well, once you get rid of everything, you stop, being on fire. So they're pretty much blaming the items for being on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
not
you being
you,
on
not
fire
your
too.
clothes. Clothes are
So
fine.
I mean, but that's their excuse to get rid of everything, so you can have a fist fight
Well,
with Gray Fox.
I kept
mean-
thinking of it as slappers. I just felt like they were
Slappers only.
slapping.
You can have
Slappers
slappers only with Gray Fox.
Well,
I mean,
a lot
again,
of people.
very, very reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid when you fight Liquid. I mean, it's so many things were taken from this game.
That's true.
A lot of people don't know this, but MREs are extremely flammable. Just in case you need to survive a cold desert night, you can light them on fire and create like a little fire to keep yourself warm. That's also not true.
I was just gonna Google it because I'm like, I don't trust him anymore. He lied to me earlier.
50% of my true facts are fake, I think.
Now we have to review every C fact you've ever said, Stu.
All the C facts are based on legitimate, quick, Googleable information.
Hey, here's the fact.
Are you
It is
telling
evident
me
from the test-
coolcfacts.com lied to me?
Yes. Here's the fact. It is evident from the test that release of hydrogen gas from FRH in these MREs is of a sufficient quantity to pose a potential hazard on board a passenger aircraft.
That's a lot of specification, though.
I know, but
It
I
has-
wanted to.
It is a danger if you're in this very specific scenario where you don't have access to a fire extinguisher immediately or water or anything.
Okay. And then, I mean, I did like the final fight of this game. Like, 'cause I've always heard about, from playing all the other Metal Gears, how, he fights Big Boss, he kills Big Boss. And to find out that the whole fight with Big Boss involved him running around, opening different doors, get a key card to find a freaking lighter. I like the fight, but I felt kind of like, okay.
Do we, do we tell Mike about Big Boss?
I think we should do that just because it's part of this game.
It is.
Yeah. Part of
Yeah.
the canon.
So, and it's not really a spoiler because it's pretty much immediately upon playing like the
Are you
second
talking
start
about 5? Oh,
yes.
spoilers for Metal Gear Solid 5, because I never said
Kind
spoilers
of.
before.
It's
I know where
not-
you're going.
Yeah, it's not really a spoiler because it's like I'd say the first 10 minutes. The
Skip
fucking
ahead
the fucking
5-10
tutorial
minutes.
to Metal Gear 5 is like an hour long because Metal Gear. But like the whole point of Metal Gear 5 is that you're not playing as Big Boss. You're playing as Punished Snake, who is a like decoy for Big Boss.
He's
Right.
the medic.
He is. He was a medic that crashed when they were. See, this is. I don't want to spoil this because these are characters that are more important. They're.
Don't-
I would say just play Ground Zeroes. If
I
you,
have.
yeah, if you don't want to play 5, just play Ground Zeroes. It's short. It's just like a little interim story, and it gives you all the information you need, pretty much.
But
It's like a
basically,
$30-$40 demo, pretty much.
Yeah.
yeah, but basically, in the first Metal Gear game on MSX, you didn't kill Big Boss at the end of that. You killed his clone, and in this game, you're actually fighting the Big Boss.
Yes.
Okay.
There is. I feel bad because I don't remember the name of this video. There's a fan made video that's very, very well done. Like the voice acting in it, like it's not Troy Baker, not Troy Baker. It's not David Hayter, but they did a very good impression of Venom Snake. And it's all about it's like a fan made film of Venom Snake calling Big Boss to let him know that like Solid Snake is ready and that he's like taking his place and that like his mission is complete. It's very, very well done. It's just like a conversation between the two. I wish I remember what it's called because I would love to give those guys credit. It was a very, it's like a 5-minute short film, but it's so good.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it because I
I'll
really
talk.
do want to give them credit.
While you Google, I'll talk. And so when you fight Big Boss in this game, you get the key cards, which, I mean, he's running around trying to shoot you. You have to go in different rooms, get key cards. And then eventually you get a lighter and an accelerant. You have to like shoot fire at him to burn him, which was cool. Like I did enjoy that part where you're just shooting him, lighting him on fire, and he's just burning to death. And then he just runs around, goes, "It's not over," and the war is over for me, but not for you, or something like that. I
Right.
didn't take it.
Because
I did like
spoilers, Big Boss does come back later. So, and he
Wait a
has
minute.
burn marks on him, which relate to what happens here.
I think it was called Last Day in Outer Heaven. I could be wrong about that. Trying to find it now.
Yeah. What were we gonna say, Rich? Sorry, or Red Fox?
That doesn't matter. I don't
That
care.
part where you kind of burn them like that, really seemed like an 80s, like early 90s kind of thing to get rid of the big baddie at the end of the movie, you know?
Right. Kind of like this is all I have, so I got to use it in a desperate need to win the battle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Kind of makes up for you kind of throwing all your items and doing that whole fist fight with Gray Fox as well.
Yeah, makes it more important.
Intense.
I won't scatter your sorrow to the heartless sea, Mike.
Okay.
Plants the roots in me.
After you kill Big Boss, and for the second time, and then you run. I did like that part where you start to run down the hallway, and then she's like, and the guard comes up behind him like, freeze! And she's like, just kidding, just me. I'm thinking to myself, would you really want to do it to a soldier who could probably turn around and kill you in 10 different ways if it wasn't an MSX?
Also, this is Metal Gear. You don't know, just because someone looks like fucking Snake doesn't mean they're Snake. Like, maybe have some goddamn code words or something, people.
You know what always bothered me too, mentioning Holly too, is that every Metal Gear seemingly has to have some sort of love interest in every Metal Gear. You got Meryl, you got Holly, I mean, and then Eva in 3. I mean, what is the point? And we can do these entire games without it.
I would argue you were just Go ahead, make your defense for Meryl, and I'll make my defense for Eva.
Okay, in Meryl, you're just copying this game because Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake has a lot of similarities, I feel. So that's part of it. I mean, it didn't feel necessary when you have Meryl and you have where 2 goes and you have where Metal Gear Solid 4 goes. It doesn't feel necessary, but maybe it's to make him seem more human instead of just a killing machine. And it's an 80s action flick. So that's what I got.
I like Meryl more too because she's Campbell's daughter. So it adds like a little bit, like Holly's just a random girl that is there who's like a love interest. I think Meryl makes more sense in Metal Gear initially. I'm not going to talk about her role in 4 because it's fucking stupid. But I think in the original Metal Gear, it was a nice, like, it's a cliche character for sure. And it didn't do any favors for like making females in video games better.
But I mean, Metal Gear Solid itself was a masterpiece, right? I mean, there's not much we can really complain about when it comes to Metal Gear Solid. And for most of us being the age that we are, Solid was more or less one of our first ones that we actually really played or that we got into. So there is some nostalgic value in those.
Yeah, I think Solid was most people's first Metal Gear game.
I actually played. I had it, and I played it. The first Metal Gear on NES. That was my first one ever.
Oh, really?
I was so young. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I was like, all right, fuck this game. I'll play Mario 3 or Double Dragon. I'll be fine.
I had a friend who his first Metal Gear he played was Metal Gear 4. And I was like, dude, you have jumped into the deep end and you have tied cinder blocks to your fucking feet. You are not ready for Metal Gear 4.
No, he wasn't.
But we should also point out that... Go ahead, Stu.
Well, I want to make my case for Eva because I think Eva's a cool fucking character. Eva is great. First of all, she like outsmarts Snake multiple times. She is working for the fucking Patriots, and then she betrays the Patriots and starts her own like orphanage mercenary group that's just fucking kicks ass. I would say Eva's role in Metal Gear Solid 4 is probably one of the only parts of Metal Gear Solid 4 that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I like most people, I dislike most of that story. I understand that it was Kojima saying like, I need to tie up every loose end possible, which you don't really have to do. But it's Kojima, so he wanted to do it. I like Eva's whole thing where she was like in love with Big Boss and like creating this kind of she was in love with Big Boss, but she also had her own thing going on. She had like her own character motivations.
So, and I would agree. I feel that out of all female characters from all Metal Gears that I've played, that she is one of the more memorable ones, the most motivated one.
Frankly, everybody from Snake Eater is like, those are like the perfect Metal Gear characters, I think.
That's one of the best games ever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think a lot of people can agree to like the Rogues Gallery in that one too, being one of the better teams as well. But I just think in most other ones, as far as the female presence, as far as the love interest, it's just unnecessary and you don't need it. I mean, even Blyden had Rose, which is a fucking AI at the end of the day. It's just so unnecessary.
Well, Huey had his sister and then his mother. Huey's a fucking weird guy.
Yeah. I just keep looking at it from like where Kojima grew up. Like in the 70s, the lady character would always like have a down seat. She would always be like the sidekick to the hero, but she'd always be there, like fearing for his death.
Mhm.
And it kind of feels like some of those. What?
He grew up watching Bond. He was a Bond fan.
Basically.
True.
And like Bruce Lee movies, had that too. So it's just kind of par for what he grew up with. Obviously, he was inspired by The Great Escape as well. So
I find it ironic in that Bond movies have always had a problem with like misogyny and stuff in them. I like they're still enjoyable. Like they're you can always say like, oh, they're from a different time or whatever. But I find it ironic that like Snake Eater is the most Bond-like of any Metal Gear game, and I would say that the boss and Eva are. I would go so far as to say they're two of the best female characters in any video game. Like I think they both pass. I think the boss completely passes the Bechdel test, and I want to say Eva, like she is like using her wiles against Snake, but it's never like, oh, I'm a useless love interest. It's always I have my ulterior motive going on, and I'm doing this. Get information out of you. Like at the end of Snake Eater, Eva has beaten you.
Being that game was a little more open than the rest, I wasn't ready for that. But I think the story actually, and the points that you're making, actually did draw me to it. And I mean, it is a damn good Metal Gear.
Yeah, Snake Eater is. I would definitely put it as my favorite, and I definitely know I'm not alone in that. I think Snake Eater is the best Metal Gear game.
It is.
It's considered the best Metal Gear for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite. I mean,
That's
all
fair.
three, and I would agree with anybody that says it. I can't really argue the point, but I don't know. Out of the first three, period. I mean, it's really rough for me to pick which one I actually love more. I mean, because you think of Metal Gear Solid being that it was no other game that I ever played before.
Mm-hmm.
It introduced me to something so new, so seemingly original that it turned my whole viewpoint of games to begin with, my whole perspective. Then I get into Metal Gear Solid 2, which upped the ante and I mean allowed you to even shoot fucking ice out of a container. I mean, that blew my mind in the demo when I actually played it, It just brought on so many new aspects. I mean, aside from Raiden, I mean, that game was extremely amazing. What it brought to the table.
Let me ask this. Does anyone feel like they would put this Metal Gear in their top 5?
Maybe.
Yeah. But that's just because there's room.
I don't know. I mean, there is room, right? But this game, I was very surprised. I was extremely surprised at how much I actually enjoyed it and I liked it. I mean, I didn't expect the things that I saw. I mean, even as goofy as it was, throwing chocolate on the floor to make diarrhea out of the acid or whatnot. I mean, I thought that was so interesting. Just how original Kojima was at that time and working within his limitations. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
It definitely says something about the series where, like, I've kind of shit on 4, but I feel like if somebody told me any Metal Gear game was their favorite Metal Gear game or even their favorite game of all time, even if like I said, I'm kind of shown for it, but if somebody said Metal Gear Solid 4 is my favorure game of all time, I'd still be like, yeah, I understand that. I understand why you think that, or why you say that. Not why you think. I understand why you think that, idiot. I understand.
All right, I think we should wrap up this game. Talk about the ending real quick.
I had a genuine moment of panic, by the way, because for some reason I thought we weren't recording, and I was like, oh my god.
Oh, you think I would let that happen?
I didn't see it. I was like, for whatever reason, my eye didn't catch it. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
We have multiple things recording, by the way. So
I think I would just shoot myself at that point. We've got backups now. So we're professionals.
I wouldn't go that far. All right, I'll talk about the ending. So after you run down the hallway and you have a lengthy talk about Metal Gear Solid 3 and 2, you get to the end where it's him and the love interest. I always forgot her name. Not Meryl.
Tori.
They get attacked by a bunch of guards. And the helicopter comes and shoots them all after a little bit because you run out of ammo. Which I did like this. And it has some little thing where they wraps up and they get in the helicopter and fly away. And I don't remember anything else.
No, that was it. Oh,
okay, that was it. All right.
That wasn't just me. Evil ending. You're on the helicopter and you're safe. Everything's good.
Yeah. It's like the ending to GoldenEye, basically.
Okay.
And every helicopter in any game blows up until the last helicopter, and that's the one you escape on.
Are you guys ready to go on to questions, comments, or memories?
I think so.
I only have 2. or maybe I have three or four. I don't have many. First one from Kevin Berganis. This is actually from a Metal Gear group I posted. He said, like most, I only played the MGS3 bundled PS2 version, and I gotta say it was amazing. Everything reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 1. Yep. And it's so cool Koji was able to recreate it all so well in the PS1. I mean, he stole it, let's say. But just imagine what he managed if he was tasked with recreating it again with today's specs. I would not mind seeing this again.
I would love to see it remade. I mean, the first and second one, I would love to see them remade.
I've been waiting for that for years. I gave up waiting.
Well, I think it's sadly it's kind of like sad and not sad. It's one of those things where you can tell Kojima doesn't want to make Metal Gear anymore. And Metal Gear Solid 5 was like meant to be an entirely new kind of game.
Work somewhere else now.
It would not surprise me if Kojima felt like Metal Gear Solid 4 was like the epitome of what that series could be. Despite the fact that most people don't really like it. The story of it at least. But yeah, I would be interested in seeing a remake. I sadly do not think we'll ever get a remake of Metal Gear.
Nope.
I don't think it really fits in Konami's plan.
No, that's not a pachinko machine. This one from Gavin Bullock said, I can't stand the NES games. Never played them, and I want to someday.
I'll defend the first NES game. That was it was a fun game. While it wasn't as good as the actual MSX game, it was still fun and playable. So
not my list, just to play. But
I'll defend that one, but not two.
What Ghost Battle was on Game Boy Color, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty good. They're fine. I think they're fine.
And this one from Kerry Clark said, "Great game. I love it. Definitely one of the best in the series."
There you go. There's somebody who would put in their top 5.
Yeah. And last thing I'm going to read from another Metal Gear group that posted this in multiple Metal Gear groups. So if any of you guys are listening, shout out to you guys. You're awesome. Keep listening. From Zach Landeverk said, "No real questions. I love the music and title screen cutscene," which we never talked about.
Yeah, we did not talk about it at all.
Yeah.
That fucking oh my god, that opening, that like Stall Bass-esque opening is so fantastic.
I was just about to say, did anyone else get any Snatcher vibes from that?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was like a Bond opening. It was like a Saul Bass Bond opening, or like the opening to Psycho.
I almost thought of like a Terminator opening though. I mean, the doom, 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 doom. You can just imagine it during that opening like logo that comes up in Metal Gear Solid 2 or Metal Gear 2.
Who does who did the music for this? Composer looks like the head composer.
Williams.
Yeah, it's John Williams. Tsuyoshi Sekiro, who I believe has he's in a rock band. That's cool. He did this. He did a couple Final Fantasy games. He did Brave Fencer Musashi.
Whoa, my.
Yeah, I'll be on the show eventually.
Oh, will it really?
Yeah, it's on.
I was just about to say he did Brave Fencer.
It's not on the schedule. Is it already? It's been on the schedule for a while.
When I don't have internet connection, my brain actively stops working.
It's literally been on the schedule for 3 months now. Coming up here in 2 months.
Look, you tell me what to play and I play it. That's all there is to it.
Oh, I don't.
Oh, Mike. He also composed the music for a little game on the PlayStation called Chrono Trigger.
Whoa, buddy.
Not on the PlayStation, really, but I'll go with it.
Okay, well, fuck that game then, I guess.
It's the Super Nintendo verson. PlayStation version just has added cutscenes and some translated dialogue.
Nobody ever played
Chrono music, though. It's not like they completely changed the music, did they?
I don't think so.
Well, there you go.
I thought maybe at first Chrono Cross, which is on PlayStation 1, only on PlayStation 1, which is not as good.
Hey, you better calm down on Cross, buddy. Cross is a good man.
He did. He worked on Mind Jack, which is a weird game that came out like 10 years ago.
Are you guys ready to go on to Shelf or Box?
I think so.
Okay, one quick thing before we go to Shelf or Box. I want to say there is a Snatcher reference in this game where Roy Campbell also mentions the snake to not mention anything about whale food when contacting George Kasler, a reference to an autopsy-bodied, but in the version we played, it was buffalo meat. So it was a reference to that. And there's also something about him becoming a cyborg under the Snatcher project. So there's a couple references to Snatcher in it.
And if anyone has never played Snatcher, we covered it on the show in an earlier episode.
Yeah,
So-
you should watch. And also check out that game.
Mm-hmm.
28 or so. We also did Metal Gear Ghost Battle episode 7 if you guys need more Metal Gear after this episode.
Yeah. That might have been one of the first episodes I was like really, I felt like we did a really good job on.
I agree.
That's for Metal Gear.
I like that Ghost Battle episode a lot.
Good episode. All right. Why don't you go first, Stefan?
It looks like the composer of this game also worked on Snatcher.
Please talk, Stefan. Why he stopped?
Oh, all right. Sorry. Here I am. Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Yeah, no, I had fun going back to this because, again, I played the original on the NES. I played the original MSX game. I fell in love with them, although they, like I said, they still have their problems, like switching on key cards to open doors. I'm looking at it from the perspective of back in the day, that must have felt cool because it felt like, oh, I'm actually using something to open the store.
Cool
That does not work. That is not the same feeling you get today. But
I like how games have gone back and forth on like realism versus fun.
yeah, and I mean, we're in an age where you don't have to do that to impress me.
I mean, they did condense the key cards later on, so I mean that helps. But
I mean, yeah, wait till the next season when I make you play Arma, where you have to like know how to reload a gun.
Oh man,
I don't think that's possible, so we're okay.
Yeah, we're not gonna play fucking Arma.
Yeah, well, at least this game didn't have PAL cards. I'll say that. But yeah, no, the story touches on the darker messages. That all these people crave war. And without conflict, they literally have no place in the world. So as goofy as Metal Gear is, it's still fun to know that it's trying to put that in there in some small way, even with a guy named Running Man in it. But I had a lot of fun going back to this. This one was definitely weirder because Snake was slower, and I didn't like that. But yeah, I put it on my shelf. It's a Metal Gear game. Come on.
Well, that's why he was Solid Snake. He was a little heavier in this one.
All right. How about you, Stu?
No surprise here. I'm gonna put this on my shelf. I picked this game and I was excited to go back. I was excited to go back and play it. Unfortunately, I was not able to play it this round. But I've played this game in the past, and I think I might actually put this in my top 5 Metal Gears. It's really fun. It's that great little like in between where you can tell like the ideas for Metal Gear Solid are coming into place. Metal Gear and Solid Snake, and like they're slowly forming Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Slowly they're being perfected into that weird little insane game that I love. So I was really excited to go back and play it. I mean, we've had 2 games in a row where like it's 2D, but the visuals are 2D games from like 90s where the visuals are still so strong that just stand out like that. Metal Gear D just looks so cool still. And that opening cutscene, I would probably put this on my shelf for that opening intro to this game alone. We didn't talk about it enough. It's really, really good. Like I said, if you don't know who Saul Bass is, just look him up. He did the opening to Psycho, and it's got a very Saul Bass kind of like Bauhaus style to it. Mm-hmm. It's such a great little game. I remember having so much fun playing this when I was younger. Now that I have my internet back, I'm probably still going to play it in addition to the game we have next week. So it's definitely going on my shelf. I think most Metal Gears would go on my shelf.
Oh, and in case sometimes I probably need to remind you, Metal Gear Solid is also on the list coming up here in a few months.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Plus, Metal Gear is like enough can't be said for Metal Gear being genuinely we mentioned this in Ghost Babel. It's genuinely one of the most fun games to do impressions of. Because every character is so over the top. Just boss, Metal Gear. Say anything in like Snake's voice or Liquid Snake's voice, and you just feel good.
Oh, yeah.
Brother.
We're gonna have a lot to say about that on Metal Gear Solid.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's just gonna be us making references the entire fucking time.
Yep.
Look, can we open the Metal Gear Solid episode with all of us going, kept you waiting, huh?
All right, Red Fox. How about you? Shelf or box?
You're pretty good.
Well, I don't know. I felt the game was
Red Fox.
Definitely...
I'm done.
You should have just asked him, "What are you fighting for? What am I fighting for?" Sorry, go ahead.
You're not sorry.
Once you start, you can't stop.
So I don't know. I felt the game was definitely ahead of its time, man. Kojima, he did everything he could to create such an epic summer, like a summer movie blockbuster with like NES style capabilities. Like this game wasn't this game it wasn't meant for like small kids. So I can always imagine like somebody back then when it came out, somebody in their early 20s or maybe just hitting 17, 18 years old, finally seeing a game to where they can, wow, this is adult. I can relate to this. I can get into this, something deeper than jumping up and hitting coins or, you know, something along those lines. Just you could really tell that Kojima dreamt of something big from the start, and it shows in these earlier games, whether it's number one, whether it's this one. I don't know. It just caused me to gain just a lot of respect for the game itself, and I wish there were a lot more 8-bit games like it. When I look at NES, when I think back to NES, it's hard for me to play other than Mario games. Because of how simplistic it is, besides the graphics, besides the narrative. But this has it all. I mean, the graphics for the time were great. The narrative was great. The gameplay was great. But I mean, with all that said, this is something I would for sure, and surprisingly so, put on my shelf.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go last.
Love him or hate him, you have to at least like respect Kojima. Like at the very least, you have to respect that he has a vision and a dedication to making that vision.
And this game showed it all. Yeah.
Well, I want to say first, I mentioned earlier 2 hours ago, this game didn't grab me at first, but I got to a point where it really took hold, and I am so happy that this part of my gaming history. I've been telling myself for over 10 years, I'm going to go play this game one day. I'm going to play this game one day. I bought it on the PS2 version. I bought the Metal Gear Saga version for PS3 that had this copy. I'm like, I'm going to play it one day. Well, it finally happened because of this podcast. Otherwise, then I'm very grateful for it.
The whole podcast was a scheme for Mike to be able to play Metal Gear 2, but he needed to trick 3 other people into playing it.
Part of it.
Part of this podcast game.
Colin.
Metro I never played before. I mean, there were a lot of games on this podcast that, because of the show, I finally am playing them. So
that's how
maybe
Mike's ending codec would be like, this was my scheme all along.
That's basically what I'm doing. I'm using the podcast to play, like, to fill in blind spots.
That's fine.
Mike, did we keep you waiting?
Keep you waiting.
You are keeping me waiting. I gotta edit this damn thing. All right, I'm just going on the shelf because it's a Metal Gear game. It's amazing. You should definitely play it for all those that haven't yet. I mean, it's not the easiest to get a hold of. I wouldn't have played it if I wouldn't have had the ability to save and load whenever I wanted to at a touch of a key, because I mean, that's just the way for me to play.
It would be a lot rougher if you didn't.
I own 2 different. I own the copy I'm emulating, so I don't feel guilty. It's just the copy I own doesn't have the ability to save state. So
I think, I want to say like it came out for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 at some point, but I don't know if it came out on. I don't know if it came out on a disc or if it was like a arcade online download.
It's on the disc. It's on the Metal Gear Solid HD collection on 360 and the Metal Gear Saga collection, or the Metal Gear Solid HD collection on PS3 also.
So I think you're right though. The best way to play this is being able to like save and reload.
I mean, you can save and load whenever you want, just the way the game is set up on this copy. But it's much easier when I hit one button, don't have to load a memory card or anything.
Especially for that Hind fight.
All right. And since I think, so I'm going on the shelf in case I can't remember if I said that. And Stefan, do you want to introduce what we're playing next week?
Yep. So I think we made enough references on the show.
Wait, you have to power up first. That's pretty good, actually. That was a good. I don't want to say it.
You found your calling, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go try.
You practiced that, you asshole. You've 100% done that on your own when you thought no one was listening.
I've been powering up all week. I'm getting ready.
While driving, driving
while driving, with my head out the window, looking at people.
Spraying yellow paint in your
hair. We have referenced it so many times on the show. And I felt like, you can't just keep referencing something and not put it on the show. So we are playing Dragon Ball Z, The Legacy of Goku 2. I think that's the full title.
We should have
It
spent
is.
the last 50 episodes building it up.
Yeah.
Go back and edit them, and I'll republish all of them so people can have little references.
Actually, you should have done this on the next episode of Games My Mom Found.
We
Will
want to
Goat
start
defeat his
introducing the next
legacy
game.
for the second time.
Last
I
time
mean-
on Games My Mom Found, Metal Gear 2.
You guys want to start doing
Solid
that?
That's pretty good too. You have
Fine.
practiced this shit.
If that's how you want to introduce the next game from now on, you are welcome to.
That'd be amazing. Let's everyone do their best Metal Gear or Dragon Ball joke there.
All right, I think it's time to wrap up this podcast. And I do
Will Mike ever
apologize.
get to edit this episode? Find out next week.
Mike.
Well, there's a chance
Mike?
to not get it very much.
Mike.
A couple of things I have to cut out. If I said something I didn't mean to say, like hour 13, I got to cut that out. But all things. So, all right. First, I want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bobby, aka Mike Stoney, from his EP "Bite the Bullet," the song of the Cool Kid Squad. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Stop to congratulate yourself for doing it. It was
Super self pat on the back on that one.
it's funny because like the only like when Mike gets the when Mike gets these perfect, he always stops to congratulate himself that he got it perfect, thus ruining it.
It doesn't ruin it. Part of the joke.
It's I love it. It's even when you get it perfect, you have to stop and point out how perfect it was.
All right. Also, I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode. First, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, where I'm constantly posting usually images of the upcoming games. But not on Twitter. I just post every so often on Twitter. So please follow us on there. Do you have any last minute things you guys want to say, or have a special surprise for you guys that I'm going to do?
You have a
You might
special
not-
surprise for us?
Yes. And
Oh,
all
we
those-
should. I do want to thank Mike on the air for Stefan and I got some very fancy mugs from Mike for Christmas.
Oh yeah, these were. I didn't like the color blue, but I will accept it, Mike.
That's
Thank you for that mug.
I like the color blue, so that's why they're blue. Plus, I didn't order them, so.
Had to explain to several people while I was drinking out of a mug with a naked image of Mike on it. I also got
It's
some
a
very
drawing
nice,
Stefan
posters
did
for
from the Stan Lee photo of Stan Lee laying on a couch naked with a comic over his junk, and it's me, a much thinner version of me laying on a couch with with games my mom found over me.
It was funny because I opened it and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like Mike said he was sending me a gift, and then I had to explain to people like, "What the fuck are you drinking out of?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my host."
He's naked.
I'm not
Nail
going
it,
to explain
Mike.
it any further.
And Stefan, you want to give a shout out to somebody you know?
Oh God, thank you for reminding me. Okay, so yeah, we got a new listener whose birthday is I think tonight or tomorrow night, as of this recording.
Jesus
But
Christ.
her name is Isabel, and Isabel, thank you for listening to the show. Happy birthday from all of us, and hope it's a good one.
Is your last name Swan?
What?
Is your last name Swan? Isabel Swan?
Oh, Swan. I think she said Spawn.
Somebody gets that
Yeah,
joke.
I thought you
Like
said
just
Spawn.
too.
Yeah, we all
Twilight.
thought she said Spawn.
I'm making a Twilight reference.
Her name wasn't Isabel, was it?
Yeah, they call her Bella, I think, but it's Isabel.
Oh, that. Why do you know that? Also, that's stupid. No.
I read all the Twilight books.
I'm sorry for
Said
this.
you read all the Twilight
I tried to make it nice.
Isabel Swan, also noted Brazilian sailor.
I think I'm right. Let's check out.
Why would you read those
I
books?
think I'm right. I thought her name was just Bella because I didn't think that. I thought the whole point of her character was to be like the most vague, like nothing character that anybody could put themselves in.
Yeah, it's Bella Swan, but her real name is
That's just
Isabella,
the
but they call her
Mm,
Bella.
Isabella Bella Marie Swan.
I actually looked it up too.
Later, Isabella Bella Marie Cullen. Spoilers.
No.
All right, I think it's just about time to wrap this up. So I got one last thing.
I want to shout out real quick to Chadwick, my Verizon technician who saved the day. who's definitely not listening to this episode, but
You should have told them. Hey, I've been starting to do that now when I talk to random people. Like, hey, do you listen to podcasts? Yeah, and I just keep going. Hey, I host a podcast called Games My Mom Found. You should take a look.
I was about 5 days behind on all my YouTube subscriptions, so I just wanted him to get the fuck out of the house so I could catch up.
I could just imagine Mike at the grocery store, like, that'll be $8.91. Do you listen to podcasts?
It's getting there. It's coming.
Just like somebody's like counting change. You're just like, do you find yourself getting bored when you're counting change? You need something to listen to. I noticed you sneezing. Have you noticed that when you're sneezing, it could be more enjoyable?
You're listening to a podcast?
That's what we need. We need to develop an app that you wear a pair of headphones, and whenever you sneeze or do anything like completely mundane that like takes a second, like you sneeze or you like rub your nose or like you cough, it plays a second of the podcast.
Okay, I have a joke since I can only make this now because it's for people listening to it, there's a very good chance you're listening to it on the brand new year. So I have a joke that I want to do. So I need. Yeah, you might know where I'm going with this, but you won't thank me for it.
Is this going to be a really bad dad joke?
24 hours to go. I want to be sedated. There you go. That's my joke.
Nothing to me, nowhere to go.
Stefan coming in real slow there.
To the airport, put me on a plane. Hurry, hurry, hurry before I go insane. I can't control my fingers. I can't control my brain.
No.
Oh.
Bam, 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 bam.
We'll see you next year.